1 minute. There we go.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. We had a little bit of a feedback situation we needed to fix.
Okay, we are now ready.
Okay, we're good to go. So welcome to the Lake County Board of Supervisors regular meeting. Today is June 8th, 2021. Before we get started, there's a lot of people here in the building, here inside this room. In order to try and accommodate for everyone to have their voice heard, if you're here for a specific item, if you can make room for others so that we can make sure, because we do have the possibility of you joining us in Zoom. We're not trying to ask you to leave. We want to accommodate as many people as possible, but we're also limited in capacity. So if we can help each other out to make sure that those who are here for a specific item have the ability to be in the room to express themselves, that would be awesome. And then if we get more people, we do have a few more chairs that we can accommodate folks with, and so we will try our best to make sure that we can make people comfortable. Let's go ahead and get started. If you can turn on your microphone.
Sorry, our capacity in the audience is 24.
We're probably close to that. And I'm good with what we have. I see people masked, and I see people kind of together in their own units that they came in with already. And I have a feeling that some probably will be leaving soon after public comment. We'll see how that all works out. Let's go ahead and start our agenda. Are there any moment of silence from our Board of Supervisors? I wanted to, I wanted to do a moment of silence. We had an unfortunate tragedy over the weekend, which touches all of us as it occurred in our lake. A boat capsized off the area of Clear Lake Oaks. And unfortunately, a couple who had just been engaged, who came here visiting from Fresno, lost their lives. Their names were Webster Medley III and Novia Walton, and both of them unfortunately succumbed to their to the issues of being in the boat that capsized and drowning. So I want to hold a moment of silence, as this is something that affects all of us. Supervisor Crandall, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair, there's a lot of people outside wanting to come in and needing to be assured that their voices will be heard when it's time to give public comment on the items of interest to them. But I wondered if you might want to take a moment for staff to turn the video. Sam, is that possible? In the past, when the room was totally locked down, we were able to accommodate people outside off this area so they could be seated out there and watch. Do you want to do that?
How many people here plan to leave after public comment? If you could raise your hands. And so if you plan on being here after public comment, if it's possible to make room for those that do want to leave, because I see that we have SEIU and we have others outside, we would not go over the item that you are here for without you coming back in, and they would leave for public comment, and eventually your item, which I'm guessing from the signs you have on your table, are for the 10 a.m. item. And so we will not pass that 10 a.m. item without your voices being heard. And in fact, in the next 10 minutes, public comment will most likely be over, 15 minutes, depending on how many people choose to stand up. But we have to try and accommodate based on the COVID guidelines we still have. And we want to try our best to make sure all voices are heard. So if it's possible to kind of help accommodate those that just want to be here for the first 9:05 a.m. item, and then we can swap and bring in the people that are here for the 10 a.m. item, as those people who are here for the 9:05 public comment will eventually leave as well from the hands that I just saw. Thank you. If that's possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job.
And we're going to, it's not easy when there's limitations. And luckily we have Zoom, but again, we want to make sure if you're here that you can speak here publicly as well. We're going to make an attempt to move forward. Thank you again, Supervisor Crandall, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Any extra items not appearing on the posted agenda from any board members? And I haven't heard of anything from staff, and part of staff is outside. And I am going to move forward, and if we need to come back, we'll come back. Let's go ahead and move on to our approval of the consent agenda. Are there any items that board members wish to pull? So I'm going to pull item 5.2, and I'm going to pull item 5.9. And I'm also going to pull item 5.16 for further discussions. So 5.2, 5.9, and 5.16. If there's no other items being pulled, let's open it up to the public, both on Zoom and in the room. Are there any items within?
Recording in progress.
Are there any items within the board chambers that public members wish to pull from the consent agenda? And I'm checking in on the Zoom room. Any items that public members wish to pull from the consent agenda? Okay, let's go ahead and bring it back to the Board of Supervisors. Again, 5.2, 5.9, and 5.16 have been pulled. Supervisor Simon.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda items 5.1 and 5.3 through 5.8, 5.10 through 5.15, and then 5.17.
And if I may ask respectfully if we can bring the microphone a little closer to make sure that everybody can hear.
So I'd like to make a motion
Thank
to approve consent agenda items 5.1, 5.3 through 5.8, 5.10 through 5.16,
Or
5.15, and then also 5.17, all for approval.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Simon and a second from Supervisor Scott. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye. And obviously,
you.
with the number of people that we have here, we're going to move on and get to those items later. Let's go ahead and open up our 9:05 a.m. public input item. This is where you get 3 minutes to express yourself on anything that is not on our agenda today. Let's go ahead and start in the boardroom. Again, you have 3 minutes each, not total. And because we have so many people here in the room, CAO Hutchinson, would you be able to keep track of time? I know you have been in the past. I just want to make sure. Perfect. Thank you.
My name is Cynthia Field. I was an IHSS caregiver for 10 months. I've been on the contract negotiation team for the past year. Historically, caregiving has been seriously underpaid as a source of labor, if paid at all. 99% of unpaid work in the world is done by women, so please factor that in. Also factor in that among IHSS caregivers across the nation, a large percentage of those are people of color. Right now, we are in a historical vortex where we are examining what defines discrimination and what defines essential work. And I believe the contract negotiations at this time fall under this category of concern. We have been trying to negotiate a contract that includes a supplemental wage of $1 over minimum wage for the past 4 years. The caregivers and the recipients of IHSS are your family, your neighbors, and your friends. We care about you, we care about our recipients, and we want a better life for ourselves and for our recipients. We want every recipient to have a provider. Right now, they don't. It's been proven in Mendocino, when they received a supplemental wage contract above minimum wage, there were more providers to fulfill the need for recipients. Across the state of California, 45 out of 58 counties have supplement wages in their union contracts. Please consider us. Make Lake County a better place to live and a better place to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment from the boardroom? Please state your name, and again, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Letitia, and of course, I'm here with SEIU to represent the home care workers here in the county. I was a caregiver for 12 years myself, and I currently work with the local. But in most counties that I have gone to, most counties around here value the work that the caregivers do. It's not an easy job. I mean, we have people that are changing catheters, cleaning IVs, changing diapers, doing all kinds of things to take care of people so they can be with dignity in their own homes. But yet at McDonald's, they're offering $15 as a starting pay an hour. It doesn't make sense. The work that these caregivers do in this county needs to be valued. It's making an investment into this county as well. If you give caregivers a raise, they're going to spend their money in this county. It's an investment into your counties, an investment into your providers, into the community and the work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you. One at a time.
Hi, my name is Suzette Hooven-Miller. I am recently, as of May 19th of 2019, got back into the work field, and I'm grateful, and I believe that we are overworked and underpaid, and I believe that our clients need, there's a screaming for us good providers, and we want good pay, good benefits, good incentives, to give good quality work for the clients. And I'd just like for you to keep this in mind. I'm coming from being homeless to being working in the work field. I am now stable in the home, and this is my hope that to have, just downright good work in the work field. Thank you.
Thank you
I'm
for
from
your
Fahim
comment.
County.
Good morning, my name is Siva Jamali, and I've been at this podium before, but I have something different to say this time. I'm an IHSS provider, and I've been working here for 30 years in this county. We are now at $14 an hour. That is pathetic that it's taken us 30 years to be able to even make $14 an hour. As everybody's already pointed out, if we make more money, we spend more money, and most of us can't afford to go out of the county or don't have a way to go out of the county to do your shopping, so we do it here. So when you give us a raise above our minimum wage, you're giving an investment into your county. One thing I don't know if you're aware of, but essential worker, what does that mean? That means when we were having to stay in shelters, and we were being evacuated, and we had all these disasters for the last several years in Lake County. Well, guess what? We left our families, and we went and took care of our providers and our recipients, and made sure they were there where they were going to be safe. We made sure that they were fed, that they had that they got to a shelter if they needed to. Whatever it is that needed for those recipients during those disasters, we made sure we took care of it. And then we'd go back and take care of our families. So all I'm asking of you is to consider real strongly as we're in negotiations with you about these facts. We're there when there's a disaster. We're there to make sure our recipients are safe. When you guys can't do it, you guys are busy taking care of the disaster. Social services, adult protective services, they're all busy taking care of the immediate problem and emergencies. We're taking care of those that are vulnerable in their homes that we've been taking care of. And yes, they die on us. And believe me, we grieve. We grieve just like they were our mom or our dad or whatever, some relative, because we come that close to them. When I've worked for one man for 5 years, he's like my family. If something was to happen to him, I would be there. I would be crying, and I would be missing. So just remember that when you come to the table to agree on a contract. Pay us for what we're worth. For once, that's all I'm asking, is that the Board of Supervisors in this county, and now that we have a fresh board, consider giving us what we're worth. Not what you think we deserve, but what we're worth. Make us feel. You know how it makes me feel when I go by the signs at McDonald's and they start their workers out at $15 an hour? Really? I'm going in and taking care of people and making sure they're eating and they're getting food and their houses are clean. And I can't even get above minimum wage. That's wrong. We should be ashamed of ourselves that we've let it go this long. 30 years is ridiculous for us to finally get a wage that we deserve. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other member of the public wish to speak?
Good morning. I'm Shreya Utterbeck. I am an IHS worker. I've been working for 4 years, and I feel unappreciated, like all these people here supporting Lake County too. They trust us. If they die, we're the first responders. We hold that against us. So why is McDonald's getting paid more than us? We're like family. Think of your mom, your grandma. I was 15 when I started caregiving for my grandma, and now I'm 28, fighting to keep a house and everything, fighting for people like her, for your grandma, your mom, your uncle. So please respect us and please help us. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any further comments from the public in the board chamber? Okay, we do have a comment in Zoom. Let's go ahead and open up Vivian Deniston.
Greetings, supervisors. Hello, my name is Vivian Deniston, and I am the Regional Vice President for SEIU 2015 in Northern California. Investing in home care is a win-win. As you heard Siva say earlier, this money earned in Lake County, it stays in Lake County. It is a win-win. And I would say that the workers at McDonald's that are preparing your lunches, you know, that is important to be a worker at McDonald's. But you know what's more important? That your elderly and disabled members of your community are safe in their homes and being cared for and getting a meal cooked for them every day. That's important. And there is such a shortage of IHSS workers. And statistics show that the group over 60 is growing by thousands every day. But unfortunately, IHSS workers, that number is not growing every day. There is already a shortage that will continue. If they are not respected and paid the wages they deserve, this is going to continue. People are going to go to work for McDonald's, even though they don't want to. They want to take care of people because it is a feel-good job, to be honest with you. I've been doing it for 18 years. So I would ask that you respect my brothers and sisters in Lake County and give them the raise that they so deserve. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I don't see any more hands in the Zoom room. I'm going to ask again here in this room, any further public comments? Because what I'm going to do, if there's no further comments, I'm going to ask for those that are no longer here for other items on the agenda to make space for those that are outside in the entryway. That way, if they have a public comment, we get to them as well. We don't want to not hear people's voices. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead and take a 2-minute break, and then we'll restart. All right. Ms. Purdy, thank you very much for helping us with the larger crowd than usual, and thank you everybody in the room for your patience. I want to reopen public comment. I know we asked outside, but I just want to make sure public comment is for any public expression for items that are not on the agenda. Is there anybody in the room that wishes to provide a public comment? Okay, and then I was told that there was another hand in the Zoom room for public comment. If I missed it, I know I received that from Matthew Rothstein, and wondering if that person is still looking to speak. I want to make sure we don't miss it. So I see there's Aaron. If we can go ahead and unmute Aaron, and Aaron, if you can provide us your full name. We are not hearing Aaron right now. Jake, would you be able to work with Aaron and see if we can fix that audio issue? And what I think I'm going to do is we're going to move forward, but we will go ahead and come back to public comment, as we did see the hand up, but we just want to go ahead and try to move on as efficiently as possible. Is that possible, Jake? Looks like we've muted the Zoom room. Sam? Because I can't hear Jake either. Jake, let's try it again.
This is Jake, checking, 1, 2.
Perfect. Aaron, let's try it again.
Okay,
We can
did
hear
that
you.
go through?
We can hear you. If you can give us your full
Okay.
name, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, it's just a quick comment. This is Erin McCarrick from Clear Lake. Just requesting that the Community Development Department process early activations for major use permits for cannabis properties that are compliant, as discussed by the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission. That's it.
Thank you very much for your comment. Okay, and I believe that was the last hand in the Zoom room, and we have no further public comment in the audience here in the chamber. So we're going to move on to item 6.2, or 9:06 a.m. item, consideration of update on COVID-19, and I see that we have Dr. Bloom with us in the Zoom room. Dr. Bloom, the floor is yours. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Chair Sabatier, and good morning, Board. I wanted to very briefly discuss the COVID response within Lake County, and along the same lines as previous, I wanted to discuss our cases, our tiers, and our vaccination situation, and then shift it over to Sarah, our epidemiologist, to discuss the numbers in detail. And the short of it is that things remain the same. From last week and the week before, case rates are low. Our case rate is about 3.3 per 100,000, and our testing positivity is 2.5%. This is, again, delayed data, so I don't have the data for the past few days, as is usual for our presentations. And I only make a mention of that because there have been some upticks in cases around Northern California in a few of the various counties, and we are seeing some indications of possible mild upticks within Lake County. However, that remains to be seen with our numbers. So what I would like to report is that things are remaining the same as far as we can tell at this time. Unfortunately, the things that are remaining the same are also our vaccination coverage rates. We have just less than 1,000 vaccinations administered over the past 2 weeks. And so we will be discussing that later in the presentation regarding our approach to try to increase those rates. At this point, I would like to send it over to Sarah so that we can discuss our numbers in detail. Sarah?
Thank you, Dr. Bloom. Good morning, everyone. A quick update on the status of COVID in Lake County. First, we'll look statewide. Testing is declining statewide, but fortunately, the test positivity rate remains low at 0.8%. The daily case rate statewide remains low at 2 cases per 100,000. Later today, the state will announce the tier metrics for the next week. Lake County will remain in the orange tier, which indicates moderate transmission based on metrics from May 23rd to the 29th. Dr. Bloom already shared a daily case rate of 3.3 per 100,000. That's 15 cases identified in that week, and a testing positivity of 2.5%. The map here shows you that 35 of California's 58 counties are also in the orange or moderate tier, and 19 counties are in the yellow tier. Next week at this time, the state will be running the blueprint officially for the last time. So we will have metrics like this to share with you, but they won't have any impact because the state is sunsetting the blueprint on June 15th. So just to repeat that, we'll have the metrics, but the blueprint and the rules governing what can be open and what can't, and where there's modifications will sunset June 15th, as I think you're all well aware of. What I just want to point out here, this is the epi curve. So this shows us the number of new cases identified by week in Lake County among Lake County residents. And so Lake County has been really stable since mid-April, ranging from 12 to 24 cases identified over the last 2 months or so. And for the week of May 30th, the week that just finished, we've identified 8 cases as of Sunday when I ran these data. So again, looking like this past week will remain stable. Testing is declining slightly in Lake County. It's also declining statewide and in many other counties. But compared to a lot of other rural counties, Lake County is doing a good job of testing, keeping the testing rate up. Like Dr. Bloom said, we've been stable in cases, and progress towards vaccine coverage has really slowed. So over the last 2 weeks, about 950 people were newly vaccinated. Statewide, the week of Memorial Day, we really did see a slowing of the number of new people getting vaccinated. But really, we're looking at about maybe a 1% increase each week. So I think that's important to think about with the goal of herd immunity around 70% or so. So as of Monday, nearly 30,000 people in Lake County were at least partially vaccinated, and that nearly 25,000 are fully vaccinated. So that's 53% of Lake County residents 12 years in age and older are partially or fully vaccinated, compared to 66% of Californians. And I'm going to move through the next couple slides quickly because really nothing has changed in the last couple of weeks. The zip codes on the left, 95422, 95423, and these 4 other zip codes, about 41% of people 12 years of age and older are partially or fully vaccinated, and about 52% of people living in these other 6 zip codes, such as 95426, 95451, and the other 4 zip codes listed. About 45% of Latino residents are partially or fully vaccinated. About 46% of white non-Hispanic residents are partially or fully vaccinated. These data here still do not include data or vaccines administered by Indian Health Service, so it's an underestimate. According to these data, about 36% of American Indian or Alaskan natives are partially or fully vaccinated, but we know in reality it's higher due to the work of your tribal health partners. By age, there's been, as I'm sure you're all familiar and we've spoken about previously, 12 to 17-year-olds are now eligible, and 8% of Lake County people 12 to 17 are partially or fully vaccinated. 37% people 18 to 49, that's about 22,000 people in total, so 37% of 22,000 people. Slight increases among 50 to 64-year-olds, now 2 out of 3 50 to 64-year-olds partially or fully vaccinated, and 61% of people over the age of 65. And just one last slide to show you how that's really stalled among people 65 and older. This is looking at least partially vaccinated over time, and you can see this line flattening here in pink. You can see the increase starting in young people as they become eligible, and sort of steady but slow progress among people 18 to 49. So I'll close with that and just say that we'll continue to watch the data. Cases look stable. Vaccine progress is slowing, and the disparity between Lake County and the state coverage level is growing because while it's slowed statewide, the state is vaccinating at a slightly higher pace than Lake County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So again, to reiterate, the cases are looking about the same as they have been, and the tiers are going away on the 15th. And so I did want to stress that although the restrictions for businesses are going away, and that we are all happy that they're going away, the virus is not going away. The virus is still here, which is why vaccination is important. The virus comes in waves, we all know that. The virus differs in times of the year. It differs in different seasons, which is why vaccination is still important and why we are concerned that the vaccination rate and coverage is slowing, particularly in the 65 plus age range and in the 18 to 49 age range. So vaccination is still important because we have not reached a level where we would feel that we could avoid a significant surge based on vaccine coverage of the county. That being said, when the tiers go away on June 15th, please remember that you have to take caution and that reasonable protection is important, and that if you feel that wearing a mask is important, go ahead and wear a mask. And that if you are in locations with lots of people, remember that you should be social distancing. If you cannot, if you are in an area where there are many people around you, because you will be at a higher risk of contracting COVID since you don't know the vaccination status of large groups. We have had some large events recently, which unfortunately, at some of them, we have noted that masking and distancing did not take place. And we have not seen the results from this yet regarding cases. However, we are starting to see a few cases that we identified were in people at those larger events where masking and distancing did not take place. And so this is particularly what we at the Department of Health are concerned about in the coming months, particularly in Lake County with July 4th. So we want to celebrate July 4th, and we are very happy that our case rates are low, but please make sure to do so in a responsible fashion. Don't celebrate inside with a ton of people unmasked. Be careful. It's for your own good, it's for your own safety, and it's for the safety of your family. So I'm not going to harp on this anymore, and we're very happy that the restrictions are going away, but again, the virus is still with us, unfortunately. And so use your common sense for you and for those around you. As far as vaccination, we have all of the different types of vaccine within the county. We have Moderna and Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, and you can still go to My Turn and schedule. You can walk into a number of the different vaccine sites, whether that be in Lower Lake, whether that be in Lakeport, whether that be at Walmart or the pharmacies or Safeway. And then we are going to have a few more sites opening up as well, which will be accepting appointments through My Turn or walk-ins, which I'll get to in a moment. So plenty of places to get vaccinated. And so I highly suggest that if you haven't been vaccinated or if you're partially vaccinated, that you should do that. In addition, I did want to mention the incentives with the state of California. If you become vaccinated before June 15th, you will be entered into a large lottery for a significant sum of money as an incentive and as a thank you for getting vaccinated. And then also, individuals who are not yet vaccinated are actually eligible for a $50 incentive from the state when you become fully vaccinated. So if you have not been vaccinated, that is a little bonus that will say, okay, well, if you're thinking about getting vaccinated, which you should be, that this is a nice little thank you to say thank you for protecting yourself and protecting those in Lake County to get vaccinated. So you will automatically be eligible for that, and then when you receive your vaccinations, you will receive the gift card of $50 to be used in many different outlets across the county. And if you want to find further details about that, you can go to the state website, CDPH website, as well as if you type into Google, California, Vax for the Win, you should be able to find it as well. As far as strategies at this point to increase our vaccine coverage and our vaccination coverage across the county, I did want to mention that the Department of Public Health is working on a number of different fronts to try to increase the vaccination coverage, again, incrementally, within the county. So the Department of Public Health has been working closely with our schools and school boards, and we have received funding from the state, as well as has the school board, to assist with vaccine and vaccination coverage. And we will be starting with clinics at the schools for children and for families of children. Hopefully, in the next week, we will begin this on a rotating basis across schools across the county, but the plan is to start this coming week. As well as this, the Department of Public Health is working with the Department of Behavioral Health of Lake County to provide vaccination services for those who want them, who are clients of behavioral health. And these are anticipated to be offered at behavioral health's different locations and clinics. And so you should talk to your behavioral health provider if you are interested in a vaccination. As well as that, we are working with other partners across the county, smaller groups, to provide vaccinations, as well as primary care physicians' offices. We have been in discussion with our local Center for Medicare and Medicaid Providers to support our primary care physician offices to deliver vaccinations, as well as are currently in discussions with our health systems to further support the primary care physicians' offices and clinics throughout the county to provide vaccinations for all of their clients. As well as this, the Department of Public Health will also be opening clinics at the Department of Public Health to provide vaccination services for members of the county. As I mentioned before, these are new clinics that will be opening. I can't quite yet tell you the hours. However, there will be a robust amount of hours and dates available for any of the different types of vaccines that we discussed, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, or Pfizer. And those clinics hopefully will be starting this coming week. So look for more information for that. You can find the information on our website, but also you can go on to My Turn this coming week and book an appointment, because appointments will be bookable on My Turn for the Department of Public Health clinic, which will be at the Department of Public Health. And you can also walk in if you don't want to make an appointment, as walk-ins will be available. Lastly, I wanted to mention something that I discussed at previous meetings, which are mobile teams. So the state has provided access to mobile vaccination teams, and we have applied to have mobile vaccination teams come to the county pending approval. And so the plan is for these mobile vaccination teams to come to the county and specifically to help with vaccinations in that HPI 1 group that Sarah just discussed in those various zip codes. And we can discuss further in the future the progress of this, but I did want to mention that this is going on, as I know in previous Board of Supervisors meetings, there have been some questions about mobile services or trucks going around to vaccinate folks who would like vaccination, and so this is in process currently. Lastly, I did want to mention, because Supervisor Pyska asked 2 weeks ago regarding senior centers, and so I wanted to mention that there have been outreach to senior centers and meetings with the senior centers within the county, and after long discussions, the senior centers at this time have expressed that they are not comfortable opening currently for full in-building services and in-building congregate meals, and therefore we will be having ongoing discussions throughout the next number of months on a monthly basis to discuss opening times and to discuss any concerns in an effort to become fully open and to start having our normal services at our county's senior centers, as they are quite important to our senior population. That is the update for Lake County. So in summary, the cases are flat at this point, although we are a little bit trepidatious that there may be some increased case rates based on the county rates around Lake County, as well as the fact that the tiers are going away on June 15th. And therefore, again, just to stress it, please use your common sense when you are out celebrating July 4th. Have fun, celebrate July 4th, but do it in a responsible fashion for your protection and your family's protection, please. Because we do not want to see a surge of cases in the county that can lead to significant hospitalizations and significant illness for the residents of Lake County. We have been doing such a good job, so keep it up and be careful and be reasonable. Please, if you have not gotten vaccinated, get vaccinated. Consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your primary health care provider. Look on the web regarding vaccinations from trusted sources, the CDC, California Department of Public Health, as there are many places to get vaccinated, as I just mentioned, as well as the Department of Public Health. Again, we'll be opening our clinics as well this coming week, which will be available on My Turn or for walk-ins. And with that, I thank all of the partners that the public health has been working with to try to increase our vaccination rates for the county. And I wish everybody in Lake County good health. And please be careful out there and be safe and be well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom, and thank you, Sarah. Any questions or comments? Supervisor Pyska.
I think we can all appreciate the welcome news that we're going to have changes coming to the county next week and throughout the state, but it's also important to be considerate of others' choices. We don't know what people are, other people in their families, if they're not vaccinated, if they have illnesses. So I think this is going to be a time when we just really need to be considerate in general of each other and our choices. So I appreciate you, Dr. Bloom, following up about the senior centers, and it's certainly understandable that they're remaining cautious at this time. I'm wondering how the conversation's going as we prepare for fire season, and if those senior centers are going to be able to be a resource for seniors if there's an evacuation or if there's a fire. Have those discussions begun?
So the answer to that is twofold. Number one, the discussions have mainly been surrounding just reopening in general in the setting of COVID, and they have not necessarily focused on fire season and the centers being a resource during fire season. However, there have been some email discussions regarding that. So the discussions have begun, but they have not taken place in any robust fashion to this point. But you do make a very good point, and senior centers should, as they are very important centers for the community, be a important resource during fire season. Secondly, the discussions, again, about reopening will be happening throughout the summer months. Right now, on a monthly basis, they may be occurring more frequently than that, and I'm sure that those discussions will be upcoming further during fire season.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, let's go ahead and open it up to the public. I see we have one already in the Zoom room, phone 4627. If we can unmute them, and then please provide us with your first and last name.
Well, I got to voice say I'm unmuted. Can you hear me there? Because I don't hear anything on the phone
We can hear
here.
you now. If you can please provide your first and last name, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Bloom. My name is Tom Slate, and I have a question for Dr. Bloom about adverse reactions. And as far as I know, the manufacturers of these vaccines are not held accountable and apparently can't be held accountable. So my concern is if, Dr. Bloom, if people were to follow your lead, as I understand it, and get vaccinated and then have a adverse reaction, are you agreeable to taking full responsibility?
I'm sorry, so am I, as the public health officer of the county, taking full responsibility for an adverse reaction to a vaccination? I believe that was the question, so I'm sorry if I misunderstood that, but that is what the question seemed like. I am the public health officer for the county, so I am not in a position to take any sort of responsibility for an adverse reaction from a medicine that is administered. So that being said, vaccines are administered throughout life, throughout the world, and as are many other medicines, which all have potential adverse reactions, which are well publicized, as are potential allergic reactions or other adverse reactions to these vaccines, as with any vaccine, as with any medication, such as penicillin, such as Advil, such as Tylenol. And so, as I would not personally be taking responsibility for any adverse or allergic reaction to Tylenol, it is the same with any other medication that would be administered. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much for the response. Any other public comment? Let's start in the Zoom room first before we move on to the chamber. And we have Will Tuttle. If we can please unmute. And you have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'd like to respond to some of what was said just now about the rollout of the COVID vaccines. And one of the things that I've learned recently is that already over $3 billion has been, of our taxpayer money, is being used to promote everyone getting vaccinated by the U.S. government. And so that money is an enormous sum of money. That's $3,000 million to try to get people to take a vaccine. And in many ways, I think it's important, as we see in the graphs that we saw, that people are resisting this. And I think I'm speaking for thousands of people here in Lake County who do not want to be vaccinated, and I think who are outraged that so much attention and money is being diverted into trying to get people to take a vaccine that has never been tested on human beings. This is really a big test that's coming out. It really wasn't even properly tested on animals. It's been tested on animals for the last 20 or 30 years, these mRNA vaccines, and they're all in the animals. So now it's just been directly to human beings. And we have people who are out of research. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., for example, has been studying this for many publicly and started the Children's Health Defense. His most recent statement is, quote, "The new COVID vaccine should avoid at all costs." That's what he's saying based on his research. We have Dr. Peter McCulloch, and I sent you all on the board a video link to his statements. He's extremely highly respected MD, a professor of one of the most respected universities of medicine, and he has come out and saying this from the very beginning. This has been all about the vaccine. There's never been a more dangerous vaccine ever. I mean, it's in just the first few months of the release of this vaccine, more people have been killed or injured than in 30 years of vaccines already. I mean, this is off the charts. And so, with all due respect, when we hear statements that the public is being informed, I think we are not being informed. We're being misinformed. And this is a direct violation of the Nuremberg principles, all 10 of them, which require informed consent. We're not getting informed consent. And I think the board is obligated to give the other side on this, to do the research, and to protect the people in our county. because we're not hearing the truth. We heard 2 weeks ago that the spike protein just sort of disappears, that the mRNA creates a spike protein. Just now, recently, Dr. Byram Bridle from Canada, one of the top vaccinologists and virologists, came out and said, basically, we made a mistake. He said that the spike proteins are very harmful. They collect in the spleen. They move from the spleen into other organs like the bone marrow and the heart and the lungs and the brain, and they cause blood clotting. We find teenagers dying of blood clots right after being vaccinated. We find
your 3 minutes are up. If you can get to your final point, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So I want to just encourage the board, please, to continue to present reasonable scientific validation for what I've been saying. These are facts.
Thank you. Phone 6478, I believe that was the same one, so let's put you on hold for a second. Let's open it up to the boardroom to see if there's any new public members that wish to make a comment. Anyone from the boardroom wish to make a comment on this item? Seeing none, let's go ahead and go back. Phone 6478, I wish I had a name for you. I forgot your name. If you are the same person that already made a comment, if you can provide a succinct comment since you've already had your 3 minutes, that would be appreciated. We have a large group here waiting for us to get to their item.
Hello? Yes.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yep, no, it's a different voice. Sorry, but you have 3 minutes.
All right. My name is Madeline, and I like to urge you to use some of that big sum of money to educate people to have alternatives to the vaccine. So if they don't wish to take the vaccine, they can take all these other things like vitamin D, C, zinc, and boost the immune system. And also educate about a better lifestyle, getting into the sunshine and exercise and all that. It's very well needed, especially in the American culture. So please do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And there is no more public comment in the Zoom room. And again, checking the boardroom, I see no one moving to come and make a comment. And coming back to the Board of Supervisors, any final questions or concerns or comments?
I just want to say I appreciate that last comment by Madeline, offering another solution as opposed to not taking or taking the vaccination. You know, that's pretty, I think it's pretty cool.
Well, living a healthy style is always a positive note, but at the same time, I will suggest that we tried an alternative before the vaccine came out, and it wasn't working out too well for the entire world, let alone the United States, and I think that it's a difficult task to be cautious when the virus doesn't really care. And it crosses all lines and barriers that we unfortunately create socially. And I do see a hand has come back up. I don't want to ignore anybody. 6205, if it's a repeat, please be succinct.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. You have 3 minutes.
This is Bart Levinson. I wanted to add to the comments by Supervisor Pyska to Dr. Bloom concerning the senior centers and addressing preparedness for the fire season for the seniors and the issue in general of what use the senior centers are going to be able to be going forward, given that they've been closed during the pandemic. The Lakeport Senior Center announced recently on KPFC radio that they would be closed for an additional year. It seems that each center is operated differently and plans to have different criteria for who will be allowed in, including not just the seniors, but the volunteers. This is a matter of, I think, much more immediate concern than Dr. Bloom may realize to prepare for the fire season. In the past, senior centers have been used as local assistance centers evacuation centers, and are generally places that seniors are used to knowing that they can go to. This whole past year, they've been told they cannot. So I would ask Dr. Bloom and the supervisors to more urgently look into what is happening at the senior centers. How are they being utilized? Are they open to the senior public? And I think you'll find that in many ways they are not.
Thank you very much for your comment. All right, we're going to go ahead and close this item. Dr. Bloom, Sarah, thank you very much for your time today and your presentation.
Supervisor Swati.
Oh,
I just want to highlight, I'm not discouraging the vaccine. What I was saying is if there's people that are choosing not to take it, at least do something to enhance your system. You know what I mean? That's all. I appreciate another option is what I was trying to insinuate.
Thank you for the clarification. Supervisor Simon?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment on the senior center. You know, each one of us have a senior center in our district, and what I do want to say is, you know, it is a challenging time, obviously, for everyone as we move into the 15th, as we move forward, but I know that the senior centers in my district and most likely all around the lake have done a great job with the drive-through food, communicating with the seniors, you know, for vaccinations and other things. So I know it's a challenge as we move forward, but they each will make their decisions as they feel safely, and I think we should respect those as much as anything else. I know that as a county and as a board, we have our folks that are working on and being prepared for fire season, where the evacuation shelters are, where the immediate places that for folks need to go. So I just want to make sure that our senior centers in this comment are appreciated, and I know it's challenging for everybody. So they've done some great work, and they continue to do that to support our seniors. So just wanted to say that also.
Yep, thank you for the comments. And that looks like that concludes our item today on COVID-19. Again, Dr. Bloom and Sarah, thank you very much for your time today. We're going to move on to item 6.3, or 9:30 a.m. item, consideration to waive the formal bidding process pursuant to the Lake County Code, Section 2-38.2, as it is not in the public interest due to the unique nature of goods or services, and B, consideration of agreement for consulting services for Lake County Community Development for the amount of $100,000, and C, consideration to appoint the County Administrative Officer or her designee as Interim Community Development Director. CAO Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, Supervisor Simon and Supervisor Pyska are presenting this item today.
So first of all, I want to thank the board and Chair Sabatier for appointing myself and Jessica to this committee. We understand how important, you know, the Committee for Community Development is as we move forward. We understand the importance as long and as quickly as possible, following our decision to restore it as a standalone department, that we need to really get to work, and we need to help, you know, drive the path forward on how we're going to do this. I also want to say that we appreciate all the hard work and dedication from everyone in the community, the CDD department. It is a challenge since I've been on the board. It's one of the busiest departments and one of the most important for economic development, and we understand the challenges they're constantly going through. And I also understand how stressful it is as we move through this time for the director and staff. You know, we saw it as a priority, we made a decision, but it did not happen immediately. We're currently going through that process. So I just want to thank each and every one of them, from the director down, of working with us as we work through these changing environments, as we bring these proposals to the board to hopefully move forward. Our priority has been to secure an interim coverage for the department while a recruitment for the next CDD director is underway, and we immediately went to work with meetings and opportunities to discuss how we do that to bring it back to the board. And given the urgency of the situation, we determined contacting prospective firms directly rather than taking several months to issue a request for proposals and seek out bids would be the proper process to bring it back to the board for that discussion. And fortunately, there were about 4 groups out there that were contacted by our CAO and other staff as we move through this process. And it seems to be an extremely busy time all over the United States, the country, and here in the state. and a challenge for finding companies that are willing to step in and fill these gaps. 2 of the firms contacted indicated they had the capacity to do this and assisted us with and will help assist us with the interim coverage in the CDD department. We reviewed their proposals and they interviewed both to determine what would be the best fit. And ultimately today we come with a recommendation for an agreement with Management Partners. Management Partners is a unique organization that was founded in 1994. Management Partners is comprised of leaders and managers in all government operations, including about 2 dozen that have led county departments. And they really seem to fit on where we were going for an interim opportunity to kind of stabilize the department while we're looking for the community development director to help us move forward. And we all understand today we're going to be dealing with some other conversations that we have later on the agenda, land use planning, long-term vision, and a lot of the other things and priorities we'll talk about today. We do have, some folks from Management Partners here today that we'll talk later, but I just want to say that we understand again how important this is. As a newly elected supervisor for my 2nd term, I guess I'm no longer newly, but going in 5 years. Community development has been a big part of that since my time on the board. After the Valley Fire, recovery and everything, there have been challenges, but we've worked through those with the Community Development Department, and we just look to a better future and a brighter future as we're taking care of the constituents in Lake County. So hopefully the discussion today will help lead to that, and we'll continue working on it. And I want to thank Carol and our entire crew for this committee, Jessica, and everyone else that's been in the conversation, Scott DeLeon, and the other folks who have helped us get to this point. And hopefully the board will understand why we've made this recommendation and help us take the steps forward that are needed.
So over the past few months, we've been working really hard to stabilize our community development department and build the foundation so that we can thrive. I want to thank all of our staff who have been dedicated over, we're working in a very difficult environment, and we're bringing these resources in to support our department and set it up for success. So with the board's approval today, with this agreement with Management Partners, we'll assign David Bosch to serve as our special advisor to community development. David Bosch comes to us with extraordinary experience in county and city planning administration. Management Partners' proposal has the ability of their team to provide other supportive services as our needs progress. And that's really one of the reasons we chose them, because as Mr. Bosch comes in and assesses our needs, if we have more staff requirements, he can bring those in. He has those abilities with analysts and other resources. Management Partners services will include planning commission meetings, management advice on CDD projects, coaching and mentoring staff, and analytical assistance. Work will begin June 14th, which we're pretty excited. That's next week, and continue through the end of October 31st. We're currently recruiting for a new CDD director, and we hope to have that director on board in October, and with Management Partners assisting during that transition. So as a contractor, Management Partners will not be staff, and so we'll need county staff to make personnel decisions, execute agreements, sign financial documents, and exercise budget authority. Our committee recommends that we appoint CAO or her designee as the interim CDD director to make those decisions that we can't have a contractor make until we have a new director hired. And during this time, a CAO will execute the contracts, approve the financial documents, sign off as with department head matters requiring CDD director approval, and oversee personnel matters. Assistant CAO Susan Parker will touch base with CDD staff on a daily basis when our special advisor Bosch is not available on site. He'll be available, not on site, some days. So today we request that we waive the formal bidding process pursuant to Lake County Code Section 2-38.1 or .2, as it is not in the public interest to the unique natures of goods and services. Approve the contract for consulting services for Lake County Community Development. Appoint county administrative officer or her designee as interim community development director. And the committee is committed to working on this with Mr. Bosch and with CDD through the transition until we have our new director in place. Recruitment efforts are underway. We have August 3rd is the date set aside for our interviews, so we hope to be moving through this process quickly. And at this point, I will turn it over to our CAO and introduce management partners and the representatives that have joined us today.
Thank you, Supervisor Pyska. So we have present with us today Vice President Jan Perkins, and then we also have our special advisor to be, David Bosch. So Jan, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol, and thank you, members of the Board of Supervisors. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. I think the qualifications of our firm have been covered very well, but I would just like to say that we as a firm take very seriously our commitment to the local governments that we serve to work collaboratively with all of the people within those local governments to help you solve the problems that you have, to create great recommendations that are practical, that you can implement, and to work collaboratively with you. That is the way that we always work, and that we will certainly be working with you in Lake County. We've served actually the majority of counties within California and a majority of the cities as well. And we are a national firm, and we are comprised of people from all of the disciplines within local government. So we understand what it means to be doing the real work on the ground and the work of the Community Development Department. In a moment, I'll have David introduce himself to the entire board. But we have proposed, as was noted, a team, certainly led by David, but we have a couple of other people that are in our proposal that can provide assistance as needed. And we have the full backing of our whole firm and everybody in the firm who can jump in as needed to help Carol and the county as projects arise. But I wanted just to point out a couple of people. Christine Butterfield, who we've noted in our proposal, also has a very good community development background. She's an expert facilitator as well. And works on a lot of process improvements with our firm. And then the other person that we noted in our proposal is Michelle New, who's a senior management analyst who does a tremendous number of various analytical projects and who has a strong HR background as well. And we think that they might be strong members of a support network for David in this engagement. So with that, I'd like to ask David to introduce himself to the full board.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all on Zoom. I'm David Bosch. I joined Management Partners approximately 3 years ago as a special advisor. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the projects I've undertaken with Management Partners in a moment. But prior to that, I served in local government for 40 years, 20 of which were at the executive management level, as a city manager, as an assistant county manager, as a county manager, as a county executive officer. And the other half of my career, the other 20 years, was spent in community development and planning work. So I think that as we talked with Carol and the two board members who initiated this discussion, it became clear that we had the right combination of staff who were available for this assignment. When I joined Management Partners after retiring from Placer County as the Chief Executive Officer, I immediately took a position as the interim city manager for Half Moon Bay, California. And that job required me to be physically in Half Moon Bay roughly half to 2/3 of the time, and the rest of the time to be available on an as-needed basis. But that was more of a traditional interim appointment where I actually had full authority of the city manager within the constraints of the CalPERS system. And after concluding that engagement, which went about 9 months, I did a little bit of project work, only to next take on an assignment as the interim general manager for a water district in Pacifica. And so I, once again, was a full-time employee of that organization for about 8 months as I assisted them in evaluating various aspects of their operations, but then also positioned them to hire their permanent general manager. Since concluding that, I've primarily been working for the cities of Tracy and Santa Rosa. In the Tracy assignment, I facilitated their budget development process as an outside management services consultant, and then did some follow-on work in terms of their community development, what they call their development services department. We have recently been doing work in Santa Rosa, and that work actually continues a little bit today as we have formulated recommendations in terms of their implementation. They've had some transitional issues. The city manager just recently tendered his resignation, so we've had to kind of adapt our project around that. But we have provided their community development department, public works, transportation, water departments, all kind of evaluations and then recommendations in terms of ways to perhaps organize differently in order to be more efficient, more effective ultimately. So I'll stop there without going on any further and I guess turn it back either to Jan or the County Administrative Officer, Carol.
So, Mr. Chair, I think that completes our presentation of the item unless Supervisor Pyska or Simon have anything else to add. Okay.
Not at this time.
All right. Is there any way, Sam, can we turn the lights back on? Thank you very much. Thank you to the committee for going through the process. I know that it's not done, and I'm happy to hear that you will continue to take part in the discussions as we work with our new consultants, if approved. I'm looking forward to how that will impact our community development. I know that I've seen a lot of things where we're so busy up there doing so much work that there's not enough time left to be able to enhance our processes, find new software, join the 21st century with some of the activities that we do, and I'm looking forward to some of those things coming to us because I think that we can work just as hard and get so much more done if we have those efficiencies put into place. And it's been a difficult task to make those changes, so I look forward to that. I will speak real quick about the fact that there is a waiving of the formal bidding. I have been a stickler in the past few weeks about the formal bidding. The fact that we got 4 bids out of the 5 typical amounts shows an effort to at least identify potential other agencies that can offer the same type of function. And we were able to compare and contrast, and I know that our committee did look at all the possibilities and eventually narrowed it down to the one individual that we're looking at here with management partners. So I am not going to be a stickler on this one because of the efforts that was made. Just wanted to make that publicly known. And before I speak on anything else, I'll open it to the rest of the board for any comments. Supervisor Scott.
I don't have any questions. Just want to thank the committee for this work. As we know, I think this department's the key to moving us forward. So I'm excited in the direction that we're going and really, really hopeful.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for doing this work. I know you asked the questions that I'm sure we've discussed long and hardly in the closed session, but also welcome Mr. Bosch, and thank you for considering us to come and help us as well.
Anything further? All right, let's go ahead and open it up to the public. Anybody in the boardroom have any comments on this item? Okay, let's go ahead and go to phone 6205 in the Zoom room. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. This is Bart Levinson. I'd like to direct my comments to Mr. Bosch and the Board of Supervisors and, of course, Carol Hutchinson. My concern is that we are in a unique and very delicate time in Lake County concerning the fires, the drought, and that there are 300 pending applications backed up, many of which are for marijuana grows to go into residential areas, areas that may not be adequately prepared for fire and drought. This is a unique to right now situation that has never been before the county before in this way. And I'm very concerned that a company that isn't here will not be able to really be in the county, see the neighborhoods that are being affected, and really judge the proposals for permits fairly, not just on paper. In the past, the Community Development Department has been short-staffed and faced difficulties having enough staff to go out and see each project and understand how it affects each area. So I would ask that some special focus be committed to in terms of our special needs in Lake County for fire and drought and the immediate dangers facing us here.
Thank you for your comment. Supervisor Simon?
Yeah, I would just like to say that all those things that you bring up are always on, on the front of our mind. So obviously, what we're looking to do is enhance the services. This transition that we're going through right now, we have talked about as a board, consulting services and other things to enhance the opportunities to take care of our constituents. And as always, it's always a local focus as we move forward. I know this is going to be a bit of a transition, as we said, out until October. We have our August date set for our permanent community development director interviews, and this is just going to be that process. So I appreciate those comments from Ms. Levinson, and believe me, we'll be focusing as a committee. This will be something that's continued now until we get the community development director, and then probably till the end of the year, just as we move forward through this transition, providing more support to our great workforce that we have up there.
Supervisor Pyska?
And yeah, I'd just like to add that we do understand this is unique and delicate. We've been working through this for years, and this is an opportunity for us to make an investment in this period of time and really dig into the work that, that we need to do to make this department successful, to build the strong foundation, to mentor the staff, to move forward with strength. And so I appreciate the comments, and we have spent months considering this work, and we've spoken with Mr. Bosch and Management Partners about it several times, and with our board in closed session. So we're excited about this opportunity, and I really look forward to the work that we're going to be able to accomplish in the next few months.
And I would also suggest that there are laws and ordinances already passed, and the Planning Commission is supposed to function within the parameters of those laws and ordinances, and nothing is going to get changed without coming to the Board of Supervisors and getting finalized. This is not an outside company coming in to make their own changes. They will have suggestions and they will have opportunities, but those changes and opportunities have to be finalized here at the Board of Supervisors, where the public will have the ability to make comments on, and we are always looking out for our local community. It is not going to be decided by others.
One more thing.
Please.
And maybe Mr. Bosch could explain how many days he plans to be in county each week for the public to understand that his presence, he will have a presence here.
Mr. Bosch, if you would like to elaborate on that.
With Carol's blessing, I'd be happy to. I plan to be there in person starting next Monday. Starting off with a meeting with staff and Carol, and then immediately begin scheduling one-on-one interviews with key staff and stakeholders. One of the things Jan Perkins mentioned is that we have another associate of ours, Christine Butterfield, who is available to us, and we thought that it might be useful to involve her in the early stages of the work, so that we have kind of two sets of eyes and ears on the situation there, so we can rapidly get up to speed and begin to assist the county to the best of our abilities. Again, I've taken on these kinds of engagements in the past, and in fact, over the course of my entire career, I've prided myself on my ability to get up to speed quickly and to begin to make meaningful contributions to those organizations. So I have confidence going in that we're going to be able to be supportive of your board and really be able to hear the community and understand what the issues are and where the opportunities lie. We also are very experienced in community engagement work, and we haven't fleshed that out entirely with Carol, but we would be happy to assist in areas like that to make sure that the ideas and the recommendations that we ultimately proffer are really grounded in kind of the local situation.
Thank you very much for that response. We have a hand up from Melissa Fulton in the Zoom room.
Good morning. Yes, Melissa Fulton, CEO of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce. In listening to this particular presentation this morning, I have two questions. The first is, there was a reference to purchasing state-of-the-art or 21st century software programs that would enhance the department, the community development department. So my question there is, why wasn't this done previously? It would seem that it should have been done quite some time ago to assist the department. And then obviously management partners are very skilled and certainly have excellent backgrounds for all that they are going to bring to the table. However, I have a similar question. Why did the county not seek their services, not in the full capacity that's been described this morning, but certainly in some sort of an assistance capacity to help this department? We all know the challenges it has faced prior to Scott DeLeon taking on the job, and certainly plenty of challenges once he came on board. So it seems like perhaps the county might have moved a little more quickly to bring new technology to this department, which is so vital, and to enlist the services of management partners in some capacity. So those are my two questions in my mind. And thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to comment.
And I'll respond to that the idea of adding consultants to the equation over at community development has been talked about off and on since I've started. There's been complications in being able to provide the capacity to spend time on searching and finding the right consultants and preparing the RFPs. And there's also been some discussions and very close not close calls, but very close to making a decision on upgrading software, and those have not been completed as well. Should we have done these things before, earlier? Absolutely, but we're here today, and we're trying to make that change today. Unfortunately, pieces of the puzzles always don't fall in the timely fashion that we would like it to fall in, and today I think is a good step forward to be able to make the change we're looking for. And Supervisor Pyska, you had some comments as well?
This is an opportunity to make an assessment of everything that's in our community development department, and that includes software and technology. And so we're just excited at the opportunity to make this investment at this time. And we're moving forward.
Supervisor Crandall.
Yes. Oops. Yes, I appreciate the mention of the legacy issues by Melissa Fulton, and I want to highlight that the employees and the community development department did a really great job trying to trudge through all of those legacy issues, and also a hybrid situation, adding in the cannabis, including into community development. So it's all new waters that we're treading on, and so we're doing our best to grasp this, and very good job by this ad hoc committee to try to get us in the right direction.
And I see we have a hand up from Brian Martin. Sheriff Martin, if you can unmute. We can see your lips moving, but can't hear you. Still nothing.
It looks like you're...
How about now?
Yes, we hear you now.
Barely. If we can get some volume.
You're quiet.
So,
Yeah, you're very quiet.
Talk about technology makes me realize we need technology all over the place. Hey, I think it's great that we're taking proactive...
Hold on one second, Sheriff. We could barely hear you. Sam, can we add some volume to that? Okay, let's try it again. If you could speak loudly, we could barely hear you.
Okay, how about now?
That's a little bit better. Let's go ahead and give it a shot.
All right, I'll probably get a new microphone this week. And I think it's great that we're doing something. I think community development is absolutely essential to the recovery of this county, and it goes hand in hand with public safety. As your board is aware, during last budget, we allocated some money for a position to fund a sergeant supervising a task force with a deputy sheriff and somebody from community development, a code enforcement officer. The last two community development directors have been very cooperative in providing staff when they could in an effort, and we've actually got some projects underway where we're going in with kind of a two-pronged approach. I haven't heard any discussion, and I hope it doesn't slip by the wayside, that I would really like to see that, that program continue and have a commitment from the community development director, the board of supervisors, to continue participating in these projects as we go through this this consulting phase and selection of a new community development director. That's my comment for this. I think it's been a very beneficial program. I think particularly in Supervisor Crandall's district, we've seen some positive results, and those positive results are very much dependent on the assistance that the Sheriff's Office gets from the code enforcement person at community development. That's all the comments I have.
Thank you, Sheriff. We have Alicia Russell. Let's go ahead and unmute. If you can unmute.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, supervisors. I have a question about item C, if I might ask.
Please, we've already discussed it, so yes.
Okay, thank you. So I do understand the need for financial oversight within the departments, and normally expenses from a department are put into the financial system and they are reviewed by the auditor controller prior to having the Treasury process it. So I'm curious, in having the CAO's office controlling the finances for this department on a temporary basis, they would be being granted the authority to utilize and move monies at their own discretion. Who would be overseeing their decision-making?
So I'm going to speak just briefly, and then I'll pass it on to our CAO to discuss. The idea right now is not to control the finances, it's to go over the approval process of the things such as contracts or the finances. And so there wouldn't be a level of control. That level of control would be held within the Board of Supervisors, the budget, and also with the new consulting agency that we're looking at to make some of the changes we hope to see. And of course, the committee would keep track and be discussing those things as they progress through the process. And I'll pass it on to CAO Hutchinson as well.
Yeah, you really covered it very well, Mr. Chair. The board ultimately holds budget authority over all departments' budgets, and money is not going to be moved around in any manner that isn't customary for the department. This is just a short time to maintain the department until the next permanent director is here.
Thank you very much. Our next hand up is Lita Duncan.
Hello?
Good afternoon. Oh, good morning.
Good morning. So my name is Lita Duncan. I'm the administrative assistant for CDD. I was just made aware of this change when the agenda was posted. So my question is, number one, I need to know how many people are going to be joining us to make room, because I don't know if people know, but we're really crowded in our department. We just recently filled all the positions for our building division, for our code division. So right now we've been trying to make room for planners. And so that's my first question, is how many people will be coming into our department? The second one is, like I said, we have a few vacancies for planning, and I would just like to know, moving forward, how are we going to be advertising those positions? I just don't want there to be like a waiting period. I just kind of want to keep moving, keep going, and that's pretty much where I'm at. That's my job for the department, and I just want to make sure that there's a smooth transition. I know that for our department, a lot of the staff we were kind of shocked, about all of these changes that have been happening, but, we're doing what we got to do. And yeah, so those are my questions.
And I would suggest that as for the first part of the question, we needed to approve this prior to having the conversation of logistics, and I'm sure that conversation will occur momentarily if this is approved. And as far as the second part, that will probably be discussed at greater length during our budgeting agenda that is tomorrow. And I'll pass it up. I'm going to start with Supervisor Simon, but I know I have 3 people who want to speak.
Yeah, in our committee discussions, obviously, we'll continue moving forward. There are budget allocations to get those positions filled, and we're going to continue moving forward with those at this time. There is no stopping and waiting as we're moving forward. We're going to continue capacity building while we're doing this through the process, and I will pass that off to Jessica, but these are conversations we've been having. This is not to limit or stop anything that we're doing. This is to bring it in and enhance our community development department with this consulting opportunity. And as we move forward, to continue everything. Even the sheriff talked about hoping things aren't going away. No, this is going to be moving towards the opportunity of providing more services and continuing down the path of building capacity. So.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yeah, we're committed to carrying all of this work forward, but we have to do it better, and we have to do it more efficiently. So that's why we are suggesting this choice, so that we're not waiting for another director and waiting through that recruitment time. We have a window of time, and we're going to use that the best that we can with this contract with Management Partners and this team that's going to come in. And I understand that staff is just learning about this now, but we have been working on this for months. We've given David, the entire workload. So Monday, we're going to be here bright and early. We're going to be meeting with all of staff, and we're going to go through a bit of an orientation so that everybody's on the same page. There's going to be a time to answer all of the questions. And then, as he mentioned, he's going to start meeting with everybody one-on-one, and I'm sure Sheriff Martin is going to be one of those people shortly. I know this is all new, but please just see this as an opportunity to support all of the work that our staff has been doing.
CAO Hutchinson?
And so the supervisors covered it well, and I think the only thing I would add is that the only Management Partners consultant that will need a physical presence here some of the time is David Bosch. And surely there has been a workstation available for leadership in the department. So, but we'll go over all of those details with Ms. Duncan and all the staff on Monday.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And then one last hand, phone 6205, and then we'll go to the boardroom if there's any public comments.
This is a repeat, Mr. Chair?
What was that?
6205 has already spoken.
Yeah, let's keep it succinct.
Yes, I was glad to hear Sheriff Martin speak to this matter. I understand that his department is also understaffed, and again, that at this time, in the time of drought and fire bearing down upon us, bringing in more marijuana grows into residential neighborhoods also increases the stress on the staff of the sheriff. I'd like to ask again that the board and the planning department consider pausing these applications for large marijuana grows until they have their staffing worked out and are confident with the ability to properly move forward safely and securely for Lake County.
And I would suggest that you stick around for the 2:30 p.m. item, as that discussion may carry some of the exact concerns that you have. And let's go ahead and open it up for any public comment here in the boardroom.
Hello, I'm Justin Quayle. I'm so happy that you guys are doing this, because there is no accountability for the workers that are working on cannabis projects. And people like us, some of us have to, you know, if they don't look over paperwork, it just gets overskipped, and then we have to hire another consultant to do a job that was already done the first time. So that is great that you have people, and hopefully we can get inspections going out on the field, going out there. We've been applied for 3 years and haven't had an inspection. Well, of course, we haven't been able to open either for business. We've been cultivating up there for over 30 years. So we're not on a watershed that's going to bother anybody. We're in a snowpack area where we can't grow in the wintertime. So the light depths and all the other things that causes all these people down in the city's problems wouldn't be an issue up there. So I'm so happy that you guys are getting, hopefully, people that are going to be accountable for their work and not just attack in emails that they're overworked. You know, we're all overworked. Some of us can't work at all until those projects are done. So thank you, and I'm glad that you guys are trying to do something. That's great to see. Thank you.
And just for inspections, they started last week. Last year we did inspections of all use permits as well. They started last week for inspections, and we also have a new satellite high definition imagery that helps us to understand what exactly is happening on people's lands. And so inspections are occurring. Yes, we probably need to be more robust, but at the same time, the efforts are being made.
I'm just hoping you guys are not going to start busting all the people that are inapplicant just waiting for an inspection.
Well,
that would be horrible.
I will say this. There are rules, and if you're not following the rules, then there's a risk.
Well, there's also a risk when you guys are not following your own rules that you guys make.
And that that is a different situation.
Yeah, exactly. It is a different situation.
Any further comments in the boardroom on this item? All right, I do have one more hand that raised in the Zoom room. Jennifer Smith.
Hi. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You have 3 minutes.
I'm just a little bit concerned because it feels like a very presumptive presentation, and that a lot of work was done behind the scenes, which can be taken one way or another. But this sounds like a great idea to have somebody come in and evaluate and help redirect or rebuild CDD while we look for an interim or appoint an interim or find somebody to manage it. But I'm concerned about very time-sensitive projects that have been lingering since board direction in February. And I'm wondering what we're going to do about those time-sensitive projects while we're assessing the CDD, if anything can be done. And I just think that that needs to be a point of concern for both, you know, the Planning Department, Planning Commission, Board of Supervisors, just to make sure that everyone is being held accountable until we can start this new process. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'm sure that you have noticed, as many others have, that our planning commissions are being packed with use permit applications. And as far as those with early activations, I can't speak specifically as to how or what is going to happen to that, as that is in the hands of the planners and the community development to make the decision based on the rules that we have provided them. And I think that's as far as I can go unless you speak directly to your planners. But there have been discussions here. That's as far as I'm going to go unless we have somebody on the Zoom that would like to speak further on that. Okay, seeing none. So it looks like we're done with public comment at this point. I will say that I see this as a positive. I know that it's somewhat light on the details, but at the same time, we're talking about reviewing an entire department, and the details are many. The details are somewhat still unknown until a review has been made, and then decisions and suggestions will come up. As far as the experience that I've seen from Mr. Bosch, it appears to me that he has the experience that we require. Not only does he have the experience of planning, but the experience of being a CEO of a county as well, to understand the absolute involvement of administration, as well as the finite details of looking through a zoning ordinance and things like that. I appreciate the fact that we have management partners in front of us, because we need to figure out how to allow our staff on the third floor to be able to not go home stressed, not go home feeling overworked, and not go home feeling like they just, it is hard up there. We have to find a better way to treat our staff upstairs. And I think this will provide the opportunities, and I sure hope that we allow to go the full amount so that we can make those changes. Some of them may be difficult, some of them may be large changes, but I think that our aim is to enhance efficiencies both for staff and for the applicants so that both have a better experience when going through these processes. So I am looking forward to what will happen. I think that Mr. Bosch will come in and see the things that are working, such as the new program that our sheriff discussed between his department and code enforcement. And nothing will disappear without the approval of the planning of the Board of Supervisors. We are adamant about the things that we want and the things that are working and the things that we wish to change. And so I think that we will be moving forward methodically, and we will be moving forward with great success. Any further comments from board members before we take action? And I see that phone 6205 put their hand back up, but I have closed public comment on this item at this moment. Any further comments, or are we ready for action?
Ready for action. Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to waive the formal bidding process pursuant to Lake County Code Section 2-338.2, as it is not in the public interest due to the unique nature of services, goods and services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, or a motion from Supervisor Simon and a second from Supervisor Pyska. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to approve the agreement for consulting services for the Lake County Community Development Department with, I apologize here.
For the amount of $100,000.
Yes, for the amount of $100,000.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Simon, second by Supervisor Pyska. Roll call, please, Johanna.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I would also like to move the consideration of appointment of the county administrative officer or designee as interim community development director.
Second.
We have a motion
Okay,
from Supervisor Simon.
Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
And that takes care of item 6.3. Thank you both for management partners, and Mr. Bosch, we look forward to meeting you. All right. Moving on to item 6.4. So we do have two more items before our 10 a.m. I know it's almost an hour later.
Mr. Chair, I might suggest that 6.4 and 6.5, since it's staff-presented items, could wait. We've had a lot of people waiting here, so
Okay.
if you'd like to let them wait, we can.
And before we start anything on item 6.6, because it's going to be a lengthy item, I'm going to ask for a 10-minute break, and then we come back. That way we don't have a break in between. I think it's important that staff get their break, we get our breaks, and then we come back and make sure we focus on the task at hand. So let's come back in actually 8 minutes, so we'll be back here at 11 a.m. Hello. Hey, there I am. If we can get back into our seats, sorry that I came back a little late. It was very important that I get my cup of coffee. I apologize for being selfish. Thank you so much. All right, welcome back. We are going to postpone our 9:45 a.m. 6.4 item and our 9:50 a.m. 6.5 item so that we can go ahead and make sure that the people that are here for item 6.6, we're already an hour late, so let's not make it any later for you guys. So we're going to get this one started. 10 a.m., public hearing, discussion and consideration of appeal to Board of Supervisors, AB 21-01 for major use permit, UP 20-22, and IS/MND. We good? Okay. /MND 20-25, We Grow LLC. And I'm sorry, Ms. Grant, I did not ask you, do we need to ask people to swear in before we start testimonies?
Yes, sir. All witnesses will have to be sworn. The department will present its case first, followed by the appellants, and certainly the project applicant will be entitled to speak.
Okay, so all of those who are going to speak today, we're going to need to swear you in, and Johanna will do so virtually through Zoom, but if you could all stand, including our staff, and raise your right hand. And if you're in Zoom, please turn on your camera so we can see you. And then, Johanna, I think everybody looks pretty ready.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, thank you very
just
much.
say I do so I can hear it over Zoom.
Everybody said I do.
Okay, thank you.
Except for, I didn't see the lips moving, but I heard it. We're going to go with the honor system on that one. And let's go ahead and open this up, and we're going to start with staff. And so, Director De Leon, would you like to introduce this, and then we'll move on?
Yes, good morning. Let me get to the correct screen here. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Sabatier, and good morning to you and the members of the board, everyone in the board chambers. I have some brief comments about the item. As you're aware, this is a very large project, and it's certainly the subject of a great deal of public interest, as evidenced this morning by the attendance at today's hearing. We've been diligent in our evaluation of the appeal and the questions raised about the environmental analysis for this project. And as a result of our review, we have made some modifications to our recommendations for this item. As a result of our review, we've discovered some procedural errors that have rendered the initial study to be defective, and this project cannot move forward as presented. Changes were made to the project during the review process, and the potential impacts to the environment that could result from those changes were not adequately considered. Due to these factors, we are recommending granting of the appeal and denying the project without prejudice. We are expecting the applicant will reapply, which is their right to do so.
Hold on, Director De Leon, would you please restart your last sentence? There was an outburst in the room.
Okay. We are expecting the applicant will reapply, which is their right to do so, and staff will make revisions to the environmental analysis to address the modified site plan, as well as the concerns raised by the public. In conclusion, again, we are recommending that the board grant appeal AB 21-01 and deny major use permit UP 20-22 without prejudice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further comment from staff before we move on? I would like to get some comments from Ms. Grant just to kind of explain the the denial without prejudice as to what that does.
The denial without prejudice under this case allows under zoning ordinance 60.32 for your board to deny a use permit without prejudice, and that would allow for the reapplication without waiting what would otherwise be a standard 6 months. The important thing to understand here is that your board would be closed from making findings that you are required to make in a de novo proceeding in order to grant or deny a use permit, because the CEQA analysis that you have before you is defective, and you cannot rely upon it in order to make the decisions that you have to make. So it is not just a choice, it is effectively the only reasonable choice you can make, which is to grant the appeal and deny the use permit without prejudice. That will allow the applicant to reapply, but it will also allow the department to take the necessary corrective action as to the CEQA analysis, which must be done before either the Planning Commission, which will have to hear the matter again once all is corrected, and or your board can move forward.
Okay, thank you very much for those details. Any further comments from staff before we open it up for the appellant? Okay, let's go ahead and open it up for the appellant if they wish to speak in light of the changes that we just kind of brought up.
That's from the audience, correct?
The appellant would be the group that appealed the project itself.
Good morning. My name is Jim Ryan. I live in Hidden Valley, Green Ridge Road area, directly below the proposed project. I appreciate the recommendation to just move forward. We would applaud that motion. The continuing issue would be the idea of a variance in that particular area. So it may be a moot point currently, but however, the concerns will still be there in 6 months or a year. So the idea to reconsider the close proximity to major residential areas, number one, concerning water.
May I pause you for 1 second? You have a microphone right in front of you, so whether or not you're masked, we're going to hear you. Please.
Okay, very good, thank you. So in any case, we don't want it to be a continuing issue, however it may be. But if there is a way to revisit the variances between major residential areas and these types of large-scale commercialized businesses, so to speak, because the majority of the people here aren't here against the marijuana issue. Number one, it'd be the water. So we've heard that argument by a lady earlier on another issue. That kind of hit the nail on the head for the majority of us in that regard. Area impacts, the study itself, the roads in those areas are far insufficient for the amount of push for commercial usage. It's just a matter of living in the area. Those roads up there are so deteriorated, they painted the fog line over dirt and rocks that are already gone. So I mean, there's issues in that area, but everybody here has been long-term residents of that particular area. I've been on that property, on that site. It's a beautiful piece of property, lovely springs, surrounded by hills, wildlife, etc. So the usage for that area, that rapid of a change amongst all of us, frankly, we're all in shock. So I really appreciate the fact that the county would reconsider and put in to stop that from moving forward, and definitely relook at it, because there are major scientific EIR reports to look at. Even our local water district stood in opposition and wrote letters to you all. I want to be here today to personally thank all of you that took an interest to come down to that location and to get a hands-on bird's eye view of what the problems and the concerns would be. I personally say thank you for that. And if you didn't or didn't have the opportunity to review that information, I think you'd be remiss in not reviewing that. So thank you very much for your time. We certainly are here to oppose that project moving forward, and thank you for moving the appeal forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from the appellants?
Good morning. My name is Dan Levine, and I live in the Shadow Hill subdivision, and I'm very happy to hear the planner's decision to put this project on hold and review it again. This changes, of course, what I had to say a little bit now that we know it's going to be continued. But the negative impacts from this project would have been very substantial and quite numerous. As the last person mentioned, those problems won't go away once they reapply. They need to be addressed properly and mitigated properly, more so than they were in the faulty initial report, which the planner mentioned was faulty and not up to CEQA standards. So, you know, I heard a lot about from the assistant planner who wrote the initial study about how overworked he was and overwhelmed, and I can appreciate that because of the shortage of staff. But at the same time, I think this project should have never made it past project review, considering such a heavily residential area. And it kind of reminds me of the teenager that murdered his parents and then went to court, came before the judge, and asked for leniency because he was an orphan. I mean, if they would have seen this project was ill-suited to the area initially, we wouldn't have had to go through so much angst and work to try to resolve this issue. So please don't trade our environment and our quality of life for a few extra tax dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other from the appellant group wish to speak?
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Scott Nagelson, and my family owns a property that is adjacent to this proposed commercial development. I came here prepared to pound my fist on the lectern and stomp my feet and ask you to uphold this appeal. I'm grateful for what has transpired. But I want you to know, and I want to thank my neighbors for coming out, that we're not going to go away. We will be back if they reapply. And we are all adamant that this is inappropriate for our neighborhood. So I just want to make that statement that we're determined. We're grateful that you're going to discuss the drought, that you're going to discuss large-scale ag approvals in this meeting later on, and we hope that you make some informed and reasonable decisions there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. My name is Sean Millerick. I'm one of the directors with the Hidden Valley Community Services District. I'm here representing myself and my family, not the district. But I did want to address the fact that the Community Services District, the water district there, we did write a letter protesting this in the first place, especially at the urging of our general manager, Dennis White. And I strongly believe that was the right thing to do and is the right thing to do. I don't believe it's well suited to the area, not just because of its proximity to residences, but also because of the effect it can have on the watershed and the natural wildlife as well. So often people look out at the hills, they see a large amount of scrub, and that's about it, particularly if you're coming from a little bit further west, and you're coming from, you know, redwoods or cities or something like that. They don't see how teeming with life those areas are and how damaging it could be when you're running dozers and trucks in there in and out constantly and damaging that area. The effect it has on the wildlife and the harm it can do to the earth, and never mind the effect it has on the neighbors in general, or on limited water resources as well. The lack of, in my opinion, a sufficient EIR or hydrology studies, I think both of those things need to be addressed to a much greater degree for any sort of project in this size going forward. There are a number of land acquisitions that have been made in that area, both on that side of 29 as well as out towards Harbin and Liberty Lane, that could be potential issues as well. So I would hope that you guys would take the time to consider that a little bit more deeply, and also that the Planning Commission itself would consider that a little bit better in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I want to make sure that there's a difference between public comment on this item and the appellants. If you are part of the group that appealed this project, you get to speak now. I want to make sure to give the project applicants time to say something as well before we truly open it up for public comment. If you're part of the appealing group, then please come on in.
Sorry, I can't hear anything out there.
Thank you for being patient, and sorry that we're at capacity, but we're making sure that we don't miss anyone.
Thank you. So as everyone else has said, my speech I will not deliver because of the great news this morning. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Carly Sherman, and I've had the pleasure of serving with many of you on meetings in the community. And I just wanted to, along with everyone else, say thank you for this time given to the permit and for not approving it. It really means the world to the community, and I hope not to be here again so you don't have to hear my whole speech. But we graciously appreciate you saving our community and giving our kids the gift of health. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other individual part of the appellant group who wishes to speak?
Good morning. My name is Jesse Cood. I'm also a resident of the Shadow Hills subdivision. I could speak on this for 5 hours, but I know I don't have that much time. And I've met with several of you already and talked to you on the phone. Appreciate your time that you have put into this. So I do have a couple things, though, that I would like to bring up. I hope that you guys can get together and find grounds to uphold this appeal with prejudice so that we're not back here again. And I also would like to request on part of my group that you refund all the appeal money and the attorney money because we should not have to pay for others' mistakes. And also, I would like you guys to consider declaring a state of emergency for the exceptional drought and not allow any new permits for any kind of growing, not just pot, wineries, that kind of stuff. I think that you have enough information available to you from the state. You drive down Highway 20 right now and you see a sign that says, "Conserve water, extreme drought." So that's about all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any further comments from the applicant group, from the appellant group?
I'm Deborah Bainbridge, and I want to thank you for the ruling that you've given us today, and especially I want to thank those of you that came on site to look at it. That's really important. Also, I just want to say, you know, it's not severe drought, it's not extreme drought. The New York Times called it exceptional drought. I think that that should be grounds to say, no, we can't have this going on right now. And I wish you would consider that. I'm also concerned about, you know, if the weed grow people, if they come back with a second application and you can't find any reason to deny it, my concern is who's going to enforce the regulations about air quality and water quality, and who's going to pay when we run out of water? These things need to be addressed because I can't see. It's just like corporate America. It's easier to pay a fine than it is to remedy a problem. I have a deep concern about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments from the appellant group? Okay, I believe that we have the applicant on the Zoom room. And we have Sufyan Hamouda, the consultant for the group, with his hand raised. If we can make sure to unmute.
Yes, this is Sufyan Hamouda.
Yep.
I'm speaking on behalf of my applicant, We Grow LLC. We did receive an email from CDD staff yesterday letting us know that the department would be changing their recommendation today due to procedural oversight in the CEQA that was submitted for this project, and we do agree with the staff's new recommendations. I've already spoken with our planner to work closely with the department to make sure that the amended CEQA document is accurate for the proposed project before having it voted again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I see no further hands raised in the Zoom room. And so any public comment of those who were sworn in that wish to speak up?
Hello, my name's Eric Garberg. I'm not at Hidden Valley, but I'm just up the road at Hofbacker. I'm the president of the Pomo Lakes Ranch subdivision up there. My concern is water. We've heard it over and over. I can tell you right now that half of our wells, of our residents, are barely getting water out of wells right now. We got a lot of months to go to finish this year. I'd like to see us not be such money-grabbing people for taxes, and think about the fact that you're going to put households without water. We don't have any means. We don't have any city water available, and trucking water is expensive. A lot of people don't have the means. So I have 4 wells, and 3 of them are empty right now, and this is just early June. So I applaud them stopping that, and I hope you stop the one on the other side of us with Hawk and Horse coming up in 2 days. And there's many more in this county, and they need to be slowed down. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment in the board chambers?
Good morning or afternoon. My name is Kenny Sherman, and I live on Dallas Court. And I too came here somewhat angry today, and that's kind of gone away, and that's kind of changed. And it changed somewhat before we heard the news from them. Once I got to hear you guys speak, and I kind of got to know a few of you, and I see that you guys do care about your community. I didn't feel that way after watching a few of these and seeing what happened with some of the meetings with the Planning Commission. I don't think that they care as much about the community. A community is a lot different than a town. The community is the people. The community is the people that get together and help each other when a fire rips through. They look out for each other. Outsiders that come here to turn a profit, that have no connection to our community, don't care about our community. They're not here to coach kids' sports teams. They're not here to look after each other when we're out of town or when we're stuck away because of a fire evacuation. And if it's just money that we're going after, then where does it end? If we're going to put money above everything, money above our children's futures, money above our community, money above water, salmon and steelhead are going to be trucked to the ocean from the Central Valley because there will not be enough water for them to swim back to the ocean. That is how bad the water is this year. Farmers who grow fruits and vegetables, things that we need to eat to live, are changing their crops. They're planting half their fields. And people think they have the right to come into our community and grow marijuana. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. I think that I know a few of you guys have to feel the same way on that. And I appreciate the decision that was made today. And I'm glad I got to hear a few of you talk, and I got to meet a few of you today. And I feel that you guys do care about your community, and I hope to see that these decisions stay the same moving forward. Thank you for your time.
I have not been responding to any of the public comments, but I feel I need to respond that the planning commissioners absolutely do care about this community. They live in our communities. They represent our districts. We're appointed by us here as Board of Supervisors. They have also restrictions on how they can consider projects in front of them. They are shackled by the rules and regulations that we have created as well. And so just want to make sure and put it out there that our planning commissioners do care about their communities. Sometimes we make decisions here that you don't agree with, and sometimes we make decisions here that you agree with, and I think it's very similar for the planning commission as well. Just thought I needed to say something because it might be perceived as such based on maybe specific projects, but as a whole, they absolutely do care. Any further public comment? And I see one in the Zoom room, phone 6205. Let's go ahead and unmute, please.
Yes, thank you for what you just said, Supervisor Sabatier. You said earlier that your board relies on the recommendations of the Planning Commission, and I'd like to suggest that this case is a canary in the coal mine. If you go back and listen to the meeting in which this plan was reviewed by the Planning Commission, they listened to more than an hour and a half of solid reasons to object. And then at the end, they said, we care, but we have no basis to deny this. And so I think that, as I said earlier, with fire danger and with drought, we are in a new situation that the old rules do not apply to currently and do not work for the situation and the dangers that we face. And it isn't adequate. However, the Planning Commission might care if they are shackled, as you say, by their rules. It is urgent that those rules be re-examined. It's not okay to just say the rules are the rules. Not anymore.
Next, we have Donna Makowicz.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Donna Makowicz, representing Redbud Audubon Society. We support the Planning Commission's request to grant the appeal. We noted only parcel ending in 40 was surveyed and no biological data on the other two parcels had been done to date. And it also mentioned seeing an unknown species of bird, which leads us to believe the report must have been done in haste. And also there were reports of 2 unusual sightings for the site on the state, of 0.02% of probability that bird would have even been here. The biological report stated only 10 species of birds, and I walked the property perimeter just a couple hours and I saw 40 species on Sunday. So thank you for considering and accepting the request to appeal and look at it more closely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I see no further comments in the Zoom room. I'm just going to come back to the board chambers, make sure we got everyone. Any further comment?
Good morning. I'm Shannon Williams. My family and I have lived here in Lake County for 17 years. I know many of you. I really appreciate your time and very excited to hear the news today. I realize this is probably going to come up again in the future, so I kind of just want to speak to that. There's a few things that I mentioned in my letter to you already that I would hope you guys really consider in moving forward. One was the amount of unpermitted activity that the We Grow people started the minute they bought the project. Construction, moving of dirt, illegal grow was started immediately. They asked for forgiveness later and then denied knowledge of stuff. And to me, it's kind of like, why are we rewarding that bad behavior? Because they came later to ask for forgiveness. So I would ask that you take that into consideration if and when this comes up again. The other thing I would add, and this is a weird subject for me because I'm a real estate agent. I have utmost respect for the real estate agents in our area. However, on the Planning Commission, you have a real estate agent who has the same brokerage as who sold these people that parcel. So, my father was a judge. I'm really big on letter of the law and recusing yourself if you have a conflict of interest, and I see a huge conflict of interest there. Nothing against this agent in particular, but it's a small brokerage. Yes, there's 2 different offices, but there's 10 agents total. So I don't see how myself as an agent can sell someone a parcel and then turn around and be totally objective and say, no, I'm not going to give you this permit that I just talked you into buying. So I feel like just for moving forward, if it's something that you guys can have a little more oversight of your planning commissioners to make sure that if there is a potential conflict, we just remove it altogether so that there's not a conflict and that it doesn't come up and
raise red flags with the community so that we can trust those commissioners when they make their choices. Thank you.
If I can ask everybody to make sure to keep your masks on. I know that in a week it's all gone, but the rules are the rules at this moment in time, and we'd like to follow those rules. Any further public comment in the room before we bring it back to the board?
First of all, I'd like to thank you guys again for your time and the hours you put into reviewing this this project. And for those of you who have come out, I know you guys are very, very busy, so thank you. And I echo what my neighbors have said, and I believe you guys are concerned about the community, not just revenue. I don't think it's like that. There's many grows, cannabis grows in Lake County and surrounding counties, and they're here to stay. I believe they're not going anywhere. And my issue is not with that. It seems like a lot of these larger grows tend to be in areas that are kind of on the outskirts and away from other neighbors. And there's probably exceptions to that, but it seems that that's the case generally speaking, and they're not surrounded by people whose only water source is a well. And I've actually spoken with WeGrow, and I've told them my concerns directly. I'm just asking for some. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for some assurance that my wells, who's about it's about 1,000 feet away from their well, isn't going to be impacted, and there's relatively simple. Not simple for me, but for a hydrologist to do a study and to look at the impact. I've spoken to two hydrologists, and they said there's relatively inexpensive studies, $10,000 to $20,000, which is a lot for a lot of people, but not for a large grow. Just to give the community, the county, the Board of Supervisors, and frankly themselves, some assurance that there's enough water to do what they're proposing to do. And I just ask I ask WeGrow to consider, and ask you guys to encourage WeGrow, or to require WeGrow to offer some substantial evidence that their operation is not going to affect our wells. That's our only option. We don't have a city water if our well fails. My other concern, which I've also communicated in the planning meeting and to WeGrow, is the traffic through our residential neighborhood. My wife goes on runs regularly. My kids ride down there, ride their bikes. Neighboring kids walk their dogs every single day. And the number I've heard is an extra 40 to 80 trips through the neighborhood. And if there's a way to mitigate that and to have a different option for an access, I think that would be appropriate also. I don't think putting a yield sign in or some speed bumps or anything is really going to be a fair mitigation. So again, thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Any further comments? Last call. Please.
I can testify. I hadn't decided to.
You weren't sworn in?
No, I wasn't sworn in.
Okay, let's go ahead and swear you in. Johanna, can you please do a swearing in?
Yeah, with your right hand raised, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Randy Fletcher. I'm not as eloquent as these people in back of me. I am not going to tell you how bad things are. I'm going to tell you what happened to me personally. This. 3 years ago, the grow next to me put in a brand new well, a domestic well. And during this time, the water just, I lost all my water. I've been without a water for 2 years over this. I have to have hot water hauled in. I'm a disabled vet. I'm on Social Security. I don't make a lot of money. And it costs me an extra $250 every month for this. So he can grow his marijuana. And he does it, and he's been doing it for 3 years. I mean, he's been, it's there. And you guys have cited him for, well, okay, you did do the abatement of his product about 18 months ago? Nothing changed. As soon as it was gone, there was new plants in there. I had to say something, I'm sorry. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for speaking. Again, any final public comments before we close it up? Okay, and I believe Ms. Grant has something to say.
Just as a point of information, Mr. Chair, thank you. Just so that everyone is aware, this is going to be a reapplication process. This isn't just kicking it back to the Planning Commission. This will have to be a reapplication process, and staff will have the opportunity to have an accurate and sufficiently comprehensive CEQA analysis. And again, keep in mind that for a use permit, there are certain findings that have to be made, and those include adequate services, including water supply. They include streets and highways and pedestrian facilities, and the comfort and general welfare of the neighborhood. So the department will have a number of things to consider once they have an accurate and comprehensive CEQA review of this particular project.
Thank you very much. And I know that there was one comment that was made about denying it with prejudice, and I would say based on the fact that we don't have appropriate documentation that matches the project, there is no decision to be made on the project other than just denying without, I forgot what I was going to say, without prejudice. And so we were told earlier, we've gone over it. I know I did a lot of research yesterday to figure out if there was any other way through this process, and that is really the only appropriate legal route that we have in front of us. We need to make sure that the documentations are up to date based on the latest project description. It needs to be thrown through the clearinghouse and the CEQA process all over again, and at that point, public comments and all public meetings will have to reoccur. Where your voices, I'm sure, will probably be heard then. And so I look forward to seeing what that process looks like. And I would say speak to us, speak to your supervisors. If there's things that you feel that in the ordinance, which does create the box within projects can and cannot be approved, if things need to be changed because now we're seeing new things that we have not yet seen before. I think that it took about 3 years to craft the original ordinance. There's been some amendments, but not a complete revision. And hearing your concerns and your voices, I think, will lead us to looking at this ordinance and saying, okay, well, maybe before they were all the way out in the middle of nowhere, and that was perfectly appropriate, and maybe right now it's getting a little closer to areas that are sensitive. But I think that you need to work with the Board of Supervisors, who will then be able to look at this ordinance and make revisions based on new information that we're receiving. The goal, I know I've heard a lot about grows in residential areas. Community growth boundaries are out. That is our residential areas. Rural residential, where agriculture is allowed, from a slaughterhouse to a vineyard to animal husbandry, things like that are all allowed. That's where it's starting to get a little sensitive for certain areas where it feels more like it's residential, but yet it's still designated rural residential. Let's have that conversation and see where it goes. But at this moment in time, it fits within the box. Let's make sure the CEQA documents match the project description, and let's see where that goes. So thank you very much for all of your comments. I think that we have not much of a choice of what our action is for today, but if anyone has any further comments, I'd love to hear those before we take action. Supervisor Simon.
Hey, Mr. Chair, thank you very much for your comments, and I want to thank everybody who attended today, and everyone who's given comment on this on both sides. As we move forward, establishing this new industry in Lake County comes with its challenges. There is no doubt about it. I've heard the comments today that this is something that is here. We need to work through this to make sure that we can fit it into the community. It is one portion of the economic development opportunities, but it's also another as we integrate it into the lives and the communities that we all serve. We're not always going to make everybody happy on every decision, But I'll tell you, I know this board is committed to go out, have those conversations with folks, and really let everybody know that we are trying to work through this process as we go. No one saw the drought, no one saw the pandemic. I mean, we have been in a drought position, but it's getting worse. So these are things that we'll take on each time. And as we move through this process, each one of these things, applications and use permits, will be taken on a case-by-case basis. I think we said that when we wrote the ordinance, and we'll continue to do that as we move through this process. So, once again, we're never going to make everybody happy, but we take this very serious as we are establishing this industry here in Lake County. I think at some point it'll be something for those folks in the industry we'll be able to be proud of, and if it can be integrated, we'll attempt to do that in the best way that we can. So, that's all that I have today.
Thank you for your comments. Any further comments before we take action? Looks like we're ready for action.
I want to make sure I get it correctly here, Anita. So the motion will be to approve the appeal without prejudice.
The motion will be to grant the appeal on the basis that the CEQA analysis is defective, and to deny the use permit for this project without prejudice.
So moved.
Second.
It's always easier that way.
Yes.
Motion by Supervisor Simon and second by Supervisor Pyska. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, and thank you to staff also for reviewing this project and making the necessary changes to bring to us this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and take 2 minutes to clear the room, and then we'll come back. I'm not that fat yet. Coming up. Hey, I'm back on. Okay, so we are back. We are going to continue on our 6.7, 11 a.m. item, public hearing, consideration of resolution approving resolutions and capital fire facility and equipment plans submitted by Lake County Fire Agencies and updating the Lake County Capital Fire Facility and Equipment Plan. CAO Hutchinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is an annual item that comes to your board. This resolution before you today, if you act on this resolution, it will approve the resolutions and capital fire facility and equipment plans submitted by all the local fire districts. This goes back to 1992 when your board adopted an ordinance establishing those fire mitigation fees. The fees are collected at the time of the issuance of building permits, and then they are allocated to the affected fire agency where the development is occurring. The fees are used for expansion and construction of fire facilities and purchase of equipment necessitated by the new development. And so in preparation for this annual item coming to your board each year, the fire agencies pass their own internal resolutions which request that the county collect the fees, and then the Board of Supervisors approves all of those, hence today's action. The max that can be charged is $1 per square foot of the construction, and each agency is continuing to request that amount. That is the amount that they have all been requesting for at least the last few years. So that is the basis for this item.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate the fees being maintained to try and still stir up development, as well as being able to collect those fees to enhance our fire stations and adding more equipment and whatnot. Is that a comment? Oh, I wasn't sure. Any comment from supervisors on this item? So I will just be an open book. I am going to be discussing with County Council if there's anything that we can change within the resolutions that all of our fire districts have been approving. The language kind of I'm not comfortable with, and I'm just going to read out loud what I'm not comfortable with. The lack of fire protection, and it's the reason for the fire fees. It lists 3 reasons. The lack of fire protection facilities and equipment to serve new development would create a situation perilous to public health and safety if fire mitigation fees were not levied within the district. I think that's a very harsh statement, and I'd love to see if, obviously this was written so that they can legally request the fees, and I'd love to see if we can soften the language saying new development requires more resources. This would help us ensure that we have all the resources to keep the community safe as we grow and develop. Something along those lines just seems more comfortable than saying it's perilous if we don't do this. So that's just something that kind of struck me as I was reading through all the materials. Seemed to not have struck me before because this has been done multiple times for me already. But that's my only comment on this item. Other than that, I'm ready to approve after we open it up for public comment. Let's go ahead and open it up for public comment. In the boardroom, see nothing. In the Zoom room, see nothing. And let's bring it back to the board for action. To approve a resolution of resolutions.
Mr. Chair, I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution has been offered by Supervisor Simon. Johanna, roll call, please.
What's that?
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott, Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that finishes our 11 a.m. item. CAO Hutchinson, do we have staff for our 9:45 or 9:50 a.m. item available?
Yes, Stephen Carter is going to present those, and if you would like to start with the first one, which would be 6.4, we'll also contact Lars Ewing and see if he can join for 6.5.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Stephen, I believe you're in the Zoom? Yes, he is.
I am. So we'll start with item 6.4, a 9:45 a.m. item. A, consideration of budget transfer in the amount of $120,000 from Budget Unit 1781, Special Projects Account 717.55-07, to Budget Unit 1122, Treasurer Tax Collector Account 711.23-80, for services related to a second tax sale for fiscal year 2021, and authorize the chair to sign. And B, consideration of budget transfer in the amount of $50,000 from Budget Unit 1781, Special Projects Account 717.55-07, to Budget Unit 1231, County Council Account 712.01-11, to cover permanent salaries through the end of the fiscal year, and authorize the chair to sign. Mr. Carter.
Good morning, Board. Stephen Carter, Chief Deputy County Administrative Officer. I do want to start off by saying that that subject line that Bruno just read pretty much explains it all. But what it comes down to for the first one related to the Treasurer Tax Collector's Office, your board adopted a resolution on March 2nd, 2021 to approve 500 extra properties to be put on for tax sale. Well, there's about $500 per property in expenses that were not previously budgeted. We were hopeful that the current appropriations would cover the year, but that is not the case, to where we are asking for you to take appropriations out of Budget Unit 1781 and then put them into Budget Unit 1122 so that they can perform the tax sales duties and have sufficient appropriations for the rest of the year. Do you want me to do A and then B?
Let's go ahead and go through A and B together. Yes.
Okay, well, let me also state the reason why Budget Unit 1781 has the appropriations available. That is special projects where we set money aside for certain things. That specific account number 5507 is for code enforcement positions, and we currently do fund the code enforcement manager, through that account, but with the appropriations budgeted in fiscal year 2021, there is sufficient surplus to take care of these transfers. So item B is for county council. They are in the same situation where in their fiscal year 2021 budget, because it was the ditto budget and we weren't giving out any extra net county cost ongoing revenue sources, they had to take salary savings within their budget to make everything else balance. Well, they were lucky and hired a new employee, and that position now is going to cause their overall appropriations to be above the ditto budget. So that was not known at mid-year, so it causes what you see before you, a budget transfer from 1781 to Budget Unit 1231 to cover those appropriations for the remainder of the year.
And that concludes your presentation?
That does conclude.
Any questions to Mr. Carter? So I just want to make a quick comment for the first one. The fact that we're doing that much more in our tax auctions is exactly the process that we've been looking to enhance. And so happy to supply the necessary funds in order to continue that activity. I know that we signed some contracts with some of the companies that help us through that process, and each property does cost a certain amount. And so this is, to me, that's just good news of doing more work, and hopefully there's the return on that work from people purchasing those properties or paying off their properties, so we can get those more active. The rest is just part of our, as you suggested, is part of our class and comp that had occurred, and absolutely a necessary thing to make happen so that we can make sure and stay balanced. So this is pretty simple for me. Any further questions or comments before we open it up to the public? Let's go ahead and open it up to the public. Anybody in the Zoom room have a comment on this item, 6.4? Anybody in the board chambers have a comment? And let's bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to
transfer in the amount of $120,000 from Budget Unit 1781, Special Projects account 717.55-07 to Budget Unit 1122, Treasurer Tax Collector account 711.23-80 for services related to a second tax sale for FY 20-21, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second. We have a motion from Supervisor Crandall and a second from Supervisor Scott. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott. Aye. Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move to transfer in the amount of $50,000 from Budget Unit 1781, Special Projects account 717-55-07 to Budget Unit 1231, County Council account 712.01-11 to cover permanent salaries through the end of the fiscal year, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second. We have a motion from Supervisor Crandall and a second from Supervisor Scott. Johanna, roll call, please.
Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott. Aye. Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Are we ready for item 6.5?
Yes, we are.
Perfect, thank you so much. So 6.5, or 9:50 a.m. item, consideration of budget transfer from Budget Unit 1781, Special Projects Account 717.55-07 to Budget Unit 1671, Buildings and Grounds Account 716.61-60, and new capital asset in the amount of $60,000 to correct deterioration to the pedestrian bridgeway and stairs on the south side of the courthouse, and authorize the chair to sign. And CAO Hutchinson, any
Stephen will
comments?
present this, and Lars is here as well to answer any questions you have about the project.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Carter.
Hello again, board. So before I get too far into this one, I was notified by the department that $60,000 isn't likely going to fully cover the expense. They wanted to increase it to $85,000, which is due to possible change orders and materials that could arise for the project. So the reason for the budget transfer is the recently identified deterioration of the pedestrian bridgeway, and it is not currently budgeted as a capital asset or in their current appropriations for fiscal year 2021. We had planned on budgeting it for fiscal year 21-22, but the project has already started and likely will finish before June 30th. So to make sure that there are the correct appropriations and capital asset available to that department, we are presenting to you the budget transfer that will move appropriations again from 1781 to Budget Unit 1671 to allow that project to proceed and complete timely. And Lars may want to make some extra comments.
All right, good afternoon, Lars Ewing, Public Services Director. I will just add some clarity to it. We were planning on and had included it in our budget submission for fiscal year 21-22 for this project. Because of the rapid deterioration, we elected to start that this year with funds that we had appropriated in our maintenance budget, Object Code 18 in 1671, Budget Unit 1671. So that, just to clarify why we initiated the project, it might give the impression that we did not have the funding. We did have appropriations within 18. We contacted the administrative office. It was going to really challenge us for the rest of the fiscal year for maintenance. So I appreciate the administrative office's support of that. And then as far as the additional funding, yes, Stephen is correct. 60,000 is very close to the contract amount. However, the overall project has other costs associated with it. Staff time, which is not billable, but materials that staff will be applying, as well as some other welding inspections and other work that needs to be done. We're increasing the number of structural welds, so there will be a change order associated with it for that. So hopefully that clarifies some of it, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Director Ewing. Any questions or comments from board members? Okay. I think it's a good thing to have this be resolved earlier than later. I know I looked up when I was shown the staircase, and glad to see that we're getting a new one. So thank you very much for being on top of this. Let's go ahead and open it up to the public. Any public comments from the Zoom room on this item? Okay, and anybody in the board chambers? Let's bring it back for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the budget transfer from Budget Unit 1781, Special Projects Account 717.55-07 to Budget Unit 1671 for Building and Grounds Account 716.61-60 and new capital asset in the amount of $85,000? Is that what the request was?
Correct.
$85,000 to correct deterioration of the pedestrian walkway and stairs on the south side of the courthouse and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Simon and a second from Supervisor Pyska. Roll call, please, Joanna.
Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And let's go ahead and pull some of these items that were pulled from the consent agenda. We'll start with 5.2, approve revised letter of support to Yolo County Flood Control and Water Conservation District, revising the date of water diversion to June and July 2021, and authorize the chair to sign. I did not want to pull this item to argue over the what is happening and what is being requested of us. As you remember, I voted against this. I just want to not automatically put my yes vote on this. I still vote no, but I understand where we all sit, and you understand where I sit, and I feel no need to argue this. But I did want to pull that. So any comments before I open it up to the public? Okay. Did CIO Hutchinson, did you want to speak on this at all? Okay.
No further comment?
And basically, it just moves the dates. That's the only thing that's really changing.
Yes.
Any public comment from the Zoom room on 5.2? Okay, we have phone 6205. Go ahead and unmute, please.
Good morning. I don't know if this is the proper time or place for this comment, but I wonder if you could review, please, to the public what the diversion is by Yolo County, because, again, since today there's new emphasis being spoken about the urgency of the drought conditions, I think it's imperative that everyone understand what water is going to be pulled from the lake.
Thank you very much for that. Originally, this was brought to us a few weeks ago, speaking of an emergency use for a project that was occurring between Calpine and Sonoma County for their effluent pipeline coming up to the Calpine Center. That was for 250 acre feet, I believe, and that was supposed to be for the month of May and June. Today in front of us, it's not the approval of the usage of the water, it's the approval amendment of moving the dates. That is simply what is in front of us, so I do not believe that we are able to argue the original project. I'm looking at Ms. Grant to see if I'm correct.
Your board's made your decision as to the allotment of water, so
This is just a timeline change amendment and nothing more.
that's right.
Thank you. And so that is the best explanation I can offer. But thank you for the comments. And let's go ahead and open it up for the public. And I know that we did receive something from the public about this. Did you want to speak on that right now? I'm just kind of making sure that you recognize we're on this topic.
You read the letter?
Yes. Okay. So thank you very much. We did receive a letter from a public member. Let's go ahead and bring it back to the board for consideration.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the revised letter of support for Yolo County Flood Control Water Conservation District, revising the date of water diversion to June and July 2021, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Simon, and I'm going to give this one to Supervisor Pyska. I don't know, it was a tie. And the second from Supervisor Pyska. Johanna, roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott. Aye. Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Nay.
Thank you.
And next was, I believe, 5.9. This one was just a quick fix. 5.9A, approve rental agreement between the County of Lake and Paul E. Lowen and Kevin Soto for storage hangar number 1 at Lamson Field for the monthly amount of $300, and authorize the chair to sign. And B, approve the rental agreement between the County of Lake and Paul E. Lowen and Kevin Soto for storage hangar number 2 at Lamson Field for the monthly amount of $500, and authorize the chair to sign. When reading through the Lamson rental agreement 1, in the memo and at the top of the rental agreement, it says $300, but within the agreement itself, the $500 slipped in. And so I spoke with Director De Leon, and that is supposed to be $300. And that is the only reason that I pulled this item, making sure that Scott De Leon, if he is still on, has the ability to speak on this.
Mr. Chair, he's not on, but he did tell me he agrees with the change.
Okay. And so, other than that, any further comments from the board? All right, let's open it up for the public. Any comments from the Zoom room? All right, and any comments from the board chambers? And let's bring it back for action.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Supervisors consent to the rental agreement with Paul E. Lowen and Kevin Soto, and authorize the chair to sign the attached agreements with the change of $300 inside the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Scott and a second from Supervisor, I'm drawing a blank, I'm so
Simon.
sorry. Simon, goodness gracious. Please, roll call, Johanna. Wow.
We got to get to lunch.
You need food.
Oh,
Supervisor Simon,
yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott. Aye. Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye. That was slightly embarrassing there, I apologize. And then let's open up 5.16, approve the distribution of excess proceeds in the amount of $331,723,002. 720, no, I said that wrong. $331,723.02 from tax defaulted land sale number 156 held on June 9th, 2018 per R&T code 4675. And I don't know if we have Ms. Ringen with us.
We do, Mr. Chair. She is present, as is the Assistant Treasurer Tax Collector, Liz Martinez. They're both here.
Perfect. So I pulled this and I spoke with Barbara Ringen, our tax collector. There is one that says unclaimed under $150. It is item number 21, but the unclaimed amount is $163.98. From what she has told me, this did not go through the appropriate process to allow claims on this amount. And so I believe that she wants us to pull this out of the overall proceeds, and she will have a new total for us to approve. Ms. Ringen.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so the new total, we will put that item number 21 in a pending status, pending the proper notification. So the adjustment to the spreadsheet, then the unclaimed will now be $184,644.86. There will be a pending amount of $163.98. The claim for amount of $331,723.02 $723.02 for claims that have been approved is still a correct amount. So the amount that will change is the unclaimed by the $163.98.
Thank you very much for that. Quick question, with the new process that will take place for that, do they have a full year? Is that the process?
At this point, I believe so, but I don't have a definitive answer on that yet, but I believe so.
All right, thank you very much. Any further comments? All right, and I'm sorry, Ms. Reagan, just want to make sure and check in, or were you complete with your presentation or with your comments?
Yes, thank you.
Let's go ahead and open it up to the public in the Zoom room. Any comments on 5.16? Okay, let's go ahead and see if there's any public comments in the board chambers. And let's bring it back for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the distribution of excess proceeds in the amount of $331,723.02 from tax defaulted land sale number 156 held on June 9th, 2018 per RNT 4675.
With amendments?
Yes, with amendments. I just figured that since the amount didn't change, but in the document it changed, right? So with amendments, yeah.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Crandall and Supervisor Simon. If we could please get a roll call, please.
Okay, Supervisor Simon,
Yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Aye.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and that completes our pulled items from the consent agenda as well as our timed items until a 1:30 p.m. item comes up. We are just in time to take a lunch.
Mr. Chair, the behavioral health director, though, has been waiting this
Oh.
morning for item 7.2, if you would.
And I don't think that one will take that much time. All right, so let's go ahead and take up 7.2 before taking lunch. Consideration of A, waiving the formal bidding process pursuant to Lake County Code Section 38.2, as it is not in the public interest due to the unique nature of goods or services. And B, approval of the agreement between the County of Lake and Crestwood Behavioral Health for adult residential support and specialty mental health services for fiscal year 2021-22 for a contract maximum of $1.4 million, and authorize the board chair to sign the agreement. Director Metcalf.
Yes, I promise not to take up too much of your time because I know we're all getting hungry. But hello, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Todd Metcalf. I'm the director of the Behavioral Services Department. So as Chair Sabatier explained, what you have before you is a contract with Crestwood Behavioral Health for next fiscal year to provide specialty mental health and medical services to our clients. As I have mentioned in some previous board meetings, and I know why this is being pulled or being discussed because of the formal bidding process. And again, I'm asking to waive that process because putting a contract of this nature out to bid would be detrimental to the clients residing in these types of facilities. And when I say detrimental, again, we're talking about people, not widgets. And further to that, the California State Department of Healthcare Services actually provides every mental health plan in the state of California with a list of approved facilities with whom we can contract. Crestwood is one of those facilities on that list, and not to mention the other facilities that are on that list, we also contract with almost all of them. So even if we went out to bid, it's highly unlikely that anyone would respond because there is and has been for years, at least ever since I've been in this role, a state and nationwide shortage of psychiatric beds. It's been going on for quite some time. So in other words, there really are no other open beds available. And as County Council knows, per the Olmstead Act, we must place our folks in a facility as close to their home as possible. And thankfully, these Crestwood facilities are all located here in Northern California. So that's a good thing. And speaking to the clients that are placed in Crestwood facilities, all of them are LPS conservatees. And I'm not sure if there's anyone here in this meeting right now that could represent the Public Guardian's Office, but they may want to weigh on this as well. The importance of maintaining this contract with Crestwood, because it is just so important for our clients to not be moved around from place to place. And as I said before, I do respect and get the formal bidding process, but I still say this type of contract falls under Lake County Code Section 38.2 that makes this a quote-unquote special services contract, which makes it exempt from the formal bidding process. So therefore, I'm asking for board approval of this, and Anita's going to probably scold me for this. I'm asking for board approval of this contract and all future contracts of this nature moving forward. And with that, I will stop, because we're all hungry for.
Thank you, Director Metcalf. Any comments from supervisors? And so while I appreciate the arguments made, I think the fact that there is a list, I think at one point we need to at least identify what does that list, what is the reaction from the list if we ask them versus just continuing. But I'm going to ask a favor of board members. If we can split A and B into two separate motions, because I support the agreement, I just don't support the waiving of the bid. And so I don't want to show that I'm not in support of what is happening at behavioral health. I absolutely support the services that are rendered over there, and it is absolutely critical that those services be rendered to our community members who need the service. So if it's possible to split that so that I can share my support of the agreement, I would appreciate it. If not, it is what it is. And I need to open it to the public before we take action.
I want to make a comment.
Please.
I just want to make a comment that I definitely agree with Director Metcalf that we are talking about people, and opening this up to bid would be detrimental to move these people into another facility. So I definitely agree of waiving of the formal bidding process and to approve this contract.
Thank you for your comments. Any further comments? And was there a comment from Ms. Grant? I heard a button.
Just very briefly, there can't be a blanket waiver because both the board and the public have to consider each circumstance. It may be the same every time, but all your board needs is the explanation which you received today so that you can move forward and make your decision and approve a waiver.
Thank you very much. Any further comments before we open it up for the public? All right, let's go ahead and see if anybody in the Zoom room wishes to speak on this item. Seeing none, anybody from the public in the chambers wish to speak on this item? No one's rushing to the microphone, so let's bring it back here for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to waive the formal bidding process pursuant to Lake County Code Section 38.2 as it is not in the public interest due to unique nature of goods and services.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Scott and a second from Supervisor Simon. Johanna, roll call, please.
Supervisor Simon?
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall?
Aye.
Supervisor Scott?
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Sabatier?
Nay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreement between County of Lake and Crestwood Behavioral Health for adult residential support and specialty mental health services for fiscal year 2021-2022 for contract maximum of $1.4 million, and authorize the board chair to sign the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion from Supervisor Scott and a second from Supervisor Pyska. Johanna, roll call, please.
Supervisor Simon?
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall?
Aye.
Supervisor Scott?
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Director Metcalf, for your patience for us to get to your item. So we are done with all of our items except for the last two timed items, which we will come back at 1:30 to start. We are going to take a lunch break, and we will be taking our closed session after our afternoon items as well. So see everybody back here at 1:30 p.m.